이 자리는 처음이었는데 생각보다 막 그렇게 머리가 복잡하지는 않더라고요. 그냥 딱 보여요. 2명 정도.
이미 저를 찜해놨더라고요. 그냥 좀 뽕이라도 뿌릴까? 재호 형도 데려올까? 머릿속으로 많은 구상을 해봤는데 그냥 순종적으로
아니 민철이가 저를 왜 안 뽑는지 저는 이해가 안 가요. 근데 몽이 잘하거든요. 저를 좀 뽑으면 어떨까?
그냥 윤준이 형이랑 윤찬이 이렇게 국민 중이었었는데 병영이가 이제 약간 저를 만만하게
저를 잡아먹고 올라가라. 나머지 우리가 싸우겠다. 약간 이런.
자기가 마치 A조 가면 올라갈 수 있을 것 같은 그런 멘트를 치면서 김민철한테 도발을 하고 있는데 참교육을 보여줘야 됩니다.
윤찬희 선수 동의합니까?
그래도 제가 제일 맛있지 않나요? 어차피 돌고 돌아서 또 찾게 돼요. 저는 그냥 뭐 의심치 않아요.
맛에는 자신 있다. 윤찬이.
전통적인 맛을 찾았어요.
병영이를 혼내줘야겠다 생각도 들었는데 갑자기 몽이 얘 저그전 20%였지 라는 게 아차 싶은 거예요. 그래가지고 안 뽑을 수가 없었어요.
근데 민철이 형이 제가 진짜 맛있었나 봐요. 배려를 좀 많이 해주네요. 마지막에 제가 생각한 사람이랑 바꿔준다고 하더라고요. 계속 토스 쪽으로 좀.
몽이가 또 저를 이겼기 때문에 대선전 때 저도 솔직히 가면 좋습니다. 몽이가 좀 저거전이 약해가지고 가면 그날의 경기력이 좀 떨어지지 않을까 생각을 합니다.
프로토스 김태경이.
다른 조보다 더 괜찮은 것 같아요. 게임도 빨리 하고 싶었고.
자, 그럼 이제 마지막 지명을 기다리고 있습니다.
저는 일단 저거를 뽑고 싶은데
만약에 가면은 무조건 바뀌는 건지가
그거는 이제 민철이한테 물어보면 될 것 같아요.
저 마음에 들면 안 받고 아니면 뭐 바꿀 수도 있고 뭐 모르겠네요. 네.
또 괜찮을 것 같아요. 안 바뀔 수 있으면.
조원들이랑 합의가 끝난 것 같고요. 김성대.
성대가 오고 싶다고 해가지고
뭔가 이거 조가 다 그냥 애매해가지고 뭐에 상관없을 것 같아가지고.
이제 최후의 권한이 김민철 선수에게 있어요.
전체적으로 조가 다 어려운 조 같아요. 근데 유독 한 조가 누군가는 꿀을 빨 수밖에 없는 조가 된 게 저는 되게 불편합니다 지금. 분명 시드는 전데 왜 그 사람이 지금 꿀을 빨 수밖에 없을까라는 생각이.
2시즌, 3시즌에 죽음의 조였어요 계속. 오늘 한 번은 좀 양해해줬으면 좀 좋겠습니다.
달라고요.
꿀을 빠는 구조도 구조인데 어중태 셋이서 태태전하면 재미가 없어요.
AS를 위해.
그래가지고 영재를 받고 싶었던 거거든요.
우승자다운 아주 훌륭하고 영리한.
저는 한 중득전을 버리고 연습을 할 생각이라서 상대만 가면 저는 아무 상관이 없습니다.
잡시간이야
네.
편식하겠다.
그냥 몽이가 이제 저그전을 버리고 그냥 떨어지면 안 되나? 이대로 갔으면 좋겠어요.
최종 선택. 꿀 빠는 조는 없애버리겠다. 밸런스를 맞추겠다. 관중도 웃을 수 있는 조를 만들겠다라는. 그렇죠.
이렇게 했을 때가 조들이 전체적으로 밸런스가 너무 잘 맞는 것 같아서
막상 보니까 그렇게 좋은 것 같지는 않고요. 저희가 훨씬 좋았던 것 같긴 한데.
The race to the top is kicking off proper here at the AfreecaTV StarCraft League Season 17, brought to you by Wellnewlife Ultimate Custom Prestige Gaming Chairs, with Group A of the round of 16. With the group nomination ceremony taking place last week on Monday, the 16-man bracket for Groups A through D is complete as we have our first batch of players waiting here ahead of Group A. Starting with defending champion Soulkey, this group also comprises Bisu, Mong and JYJ. Let's meet our players. Hello.
안녕하세요. 반갑습니다.
First up,
먼저 김민철 선수
Soulkey. Hi.
안녕하세요.
네 안녕하세요.
After last season's championship run, you're once again going to play after a while. It's not uncommon to see a collection of all races in Group A with the top seed exercising his right to swap players, but you've chosen to get rid of Zerg altogether and instead focus on versus Terran and versus Protoss. Do you have any regrets in regards to your picks? Oh, it's not the exact group I was thinking of, but it's not looking too bad regardless. I'm content. How satisfied would you say you are, percentage-wise? 70%? 70%? I wonder if a large chunk of that percentage is thanks to Mong perhaps. Mong,
하는 생각이
You
듭니다.
kept painting
본인이
yourself as such a
맛있다는
tasty
어필을
pick
굉장히 강하게
that in the
하면서
end,
결국에 김민철
you
선수의
received a
선택을
nomination from Soulkey.
받아내셨거든요.
You seemed
정말
quite content at the
만족스러우신
time
표정으로
sitting at your
테이블에
group's table.
앉았었는데
Is that
여전히 그
contentment still
만족도
there?
이어가고 계시나요?
이제 제가
I knew it was unrealistic for me to view Soulkey as a viable opponent for myself, but with no choice, you know, as I said during the group selection ceremony,
저번에 그 조지명식 때
I came fully focused.
완전히 집중을 하고 왔어요.
오.
I left the
아예
first
이제
match out
1경기를
altogether. You left the TVZ out,
배제했다.
예,
저그전을
저는
left the
배제했다.
TVZ out,
저그전을
and I
배제를
think
하고
I absolutely
저는
need to get out in
무조건
second
무조건
place.
올라갈 생각입니다.
과연
We'll have to see how much truth there is in that.
지켜봐야 할 것 같은데
Let's
이어서
now turn
만나볼
to Bisu.
선수는 김태경
Hi.
선수입니다. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
During the group selection, you said you would want to bring a Zerg over with you, and in doing so, you selected Action. However, with Soulkey's privilege, Action and JYJ ended getting swapped out. I wonder how well this turn of events sits with you.
만족도는 어떨지 궁금합니다.
저는 어차피
Well, I'm not paying much mind to it in any case. I think JYJ and Action are similar, well, actually the same. Honestly, having defeated C, I don't think there are any easy players left in the round of 16, but the groups are okay.
자체도 뭐 그냥 무난하다고 생각합니다.
Bisu has found himself in an okay group.
Let's
now have a word with JYJ. The last person to join the group getting swapped out. Hi.
안녕하세요.
During the group selection ceremony, you emphasized how much you would like to end up going to group A, but as soon as you went there, you started second-guessing yourself. How are you feeling about the group at present? Getting swapped out is no good, to be honest. In Group C, once you get past the first game, because it's all the same race, I think it would have been much
거기가
better.
훨씬 좋았던 것 같아요.
Oh, staying in Group D, you say, would have been better. The guys in Group A seem to be in accord that this group is no joke. Let's now focus on specific points for each player. First up, let's take a look at Soulkey's point. Soulkey, last season you managed to break the curse where you would force a series to go all the way to the rubber match, only to lose, and you went on to win the season. And on top of that, you became the first player to reverse sweep a Zerg versus Terran series in the ASL, beating JYJ in the round of 8. With that, there was talk of you reaching new heights. It's only right to expect that this season, having got rid of Zerg, you could get ever so close to perfection again here in Group A. How do you feel about that? Things would have been uncomfortable with Zerg here, especially practice. So I was prepared to build a group without Zerg. But even having said that, there is no Zerg. Calling this group easy wouldn't be right. I think it's a difficult group. I practiced well and I'll do my best to show good games today. I see. Let's now turn to Mong. Your versus Zerg is a 20% win rate, which led to you being picked first. But looking at your online performance in March, you've played a ton of TVZ. I took that as a sign you're practicing your versus Zerg. However, you've literally just said you're going to disregard the TVZ altogether. A real head scratcher. Which one is true then? I did play a ton. It didn't go well. If I don't focus on my ability, my skills, things will be very uncertain. I had that percentage in the back of my mind when preparing. What do you think, Soulkey? Do you believe it when he says he's given up on TVZ today altogether? I don't believe a word. I bet he's come ultra prepared. I am mortified. The first game is a best of one. It seems Soulkey thinks you've found a weak spot in his armor and is anticipating you to pull out some build to take him down. I honestly did not prepare anything, swear to God. If you lose to me, then I'm getting out in first place 100%. You better be careful. Got it. Well, let's have a word with Bisu. You have some rivalries in this Group A with a 6-5 record against Soulkey and a likewise evenly matched 3-3 against JYJ. Seeing these statistics, I get the feeling this will not be as easy of a run in this group for you. Well, it's not just Group A. I've been struggling recently in general. I don't know. I've managed to beat them before,
있어요. 그래가지고
but I honestly think the first game is of utmost importance for me. If I win against JYJ, then I should advance.
정영재 선수와의
Bisu seems prepared to take you on in the first match. JYJ, let's talk to you as well.
정영재 선수와도 좀 이야기를 나눠볼게요.
You and Soulkey can't get enough of one another. This is the third season in a row you're running into each other. In Season 15, you beat him in the round of 8 and then went on to win the season. And last season, Season 16, he beat you in the round of 8 and then he went on to be the champion. What are the chances of you guys running into each other again here in the round of 16 this time? Well, if you wanted to meet him deeper in the tournament, that's a bit more difficult now. How do you feel about playing Soulkey in this round of 16 Group A this time? Win or lose, we've both gone on to be the champion ones. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Just like Mong today, I've decided to forget about the first match. Oh, you're giving up on the first match? Yeah, I'm planning to advance in second place, so the first game I'm not worried too much about. Well, the players on this side are saying they did not practice for the first game. We'll have to wait and see if that's true in the end. Let's close things out by hearing the resolutions of our 4 players ahead of Group A. Bisu? It's been a while since I got to play a longer series. I'd like to do that again, so I will win today and advance to the round of 8. Soulkey? I'll do well and advance today. Got it. Mong? I would always lose in vain, but today I prepared and I will have a good showing. JYJ? I'll advance in second place in accordance with my plan, and we'll be back for the closing interview. Got it. Looking forward to some good games from the 4 of you. Thanks for the interview. You're watching the first day of the round of 16 of ASL 17 with Well New Life Ultimate Custom Prestige Gaming Chairs. Who will be the first 2 players to join the round of 8 this season? Let's kick things off and find out.
What is up, everybody? We're here in the round of 16. It's been an amazing season of ASL so far, and today we'll be having Soulkey playing the former champion of the last season.
Yeah, this is going to be a very fun day overall. I think it's a really interesting group, and actually I did end up watching those group predictions. Great job to Ziggy, our translator, for putting the subtitles on all of that. If you guys haven't checked it out, you know, obviously you're going to see the groups today and what they are, but I do suggest you go back and check that because these guys have a lot of personality, and it was a fun group selection phase. But I think the group that Soulkey made for himself, very, very doable for him.
100%. You know, seasons past, we were talking about Soulkey, one of these players that should be winning an ASL. We weren't sure when. Well, it did finally happen. I think he's easily the favorite to get out of this group here today.
Yeah.
For a second place, I think probably JYJ. I would love to see Bisu advance. I just don't think he's going to take it here. And Mong, look, he's good, but I think he is the weakest of the 4 players.
Mong could cause like a singular upset, like either in this best of 1 or a best of 3, maybe against Bisu or JYJ, but I think that's about it. I actually am going to disagree with you. I love JYJ. He's one of my favorite Terrans, but Bisu's in good shape right now, man. Like, he he almost all-killed all the Terran pros in the KCM Race Survival Series finals. Like, he crushed everyone PvT, so I think he's in really good shape. I think it's going to be Soulkey and Bisu coming out. I'm pretty confident in that.
I would be very happy to see Bisu advance here. I guess I've gotten used to him looking pretty tough, but when the group or the opponent gets to a certain level, he doesn't seem to be able to break through. So maybe you're right. I had not seen those specific matches you were talking about, Tastosis. But look, if he's good at PvT, that alone would be enough to carry him out of the group here.
That's very true. And of course, Bisu has the potential to beat Soulkey here as well. So you know, definitely a group that could be full of some upsets. And one thing I do want to mention, Tastosis, I don't know if you watched the actual group selection, but Soulkey saved you. you better, next time you see Soulkey, you better say thank you, because he switched JYJ out of Group D for Action because Group D was 4 Terran players. So, like, he is the only thing.
What are you talking about? I love casting TVT with you all day. I love asking you, like, when are they going to stop making vultures, or, you know, can battle cruisers be used here?
Yeah, yeah. So Soulkey actually, in a way, saved the round of 16. He made the whole round a lot better by moving Action over there.
In each matchup, Tasteless and Tastosis, each one is like a different instrument, okay? That brings a different flavor to the cast. But when it comes to TVT, I am a drum machine, okay? I can't offer that much.
Well, we're going to maybe have a TVT today, but not right now. We're going to have this Terran vs. Zerg to start, and you can see exactly why Soulkey picked Mong first. This made by far the most sense. He's the weakest player against Zerg in the round of 16, but he is actually very strong in other matchups. As you can see here, 6 and 20, 23%. It's a pretty weak win rate here for Mong. But it's not that he's bad in this matchup. It just speaks to the level of Zergs we normally have. You know, this was kind of a Zerg light season, but generally we have a lot of very strong Zergs in ASL.
Every once in a while, we get one race that is a little bit more present as far as the numbers go. And this season, it does seem like Zerg is just, there's not a lot of them. We had a very heavy Terran season to start. We're thinning those Terrans out now. I think Mong is likely going to be another Terran that'll be booted out of this group.
Yeah.
Once we're finally done with it. But let's see what Mong can offer here. And, you know, with Soulkey here, can he start to really chain these big ASL seasons together? Don't oftentimes have a player that can do it, you know, 2 or 3 seasons in a row. So Soulkey expected to move on here, but he's also had some very turbulent ASLs previous to the last one that he just won.
It's very, very true. But light on Zergs, I think there's some real potential. We're going to get into map number 1 here on Apocalypse. Soulkey versus Mong. Let's do it.
Okay, we've got Soulkey here in the red up at the very top. In the lower left-hand corner is Mong. This is the map Apocalypse. It is a 3-player map. And I've had a lot of fun just playing on this map. You know, it's in the ladder pool. I think it's made for some really interesting games. I appreciate these high ground areas just outside your bases. Makes it a lot more pushable and attackable.
Yep.
Look at this drawing. What is coming out of his mouth? That's like
a hot
corn
dog on a
he's
stick.
eating.
Yeah.
Yes.
You remember?
At first, I thought it was supposed to be his tongue, and I was like, "Well, this is kind of a scary drawing."
Oh my gosh, funny stuff. And the wife
not sure what I'm doing here, but the husband is a keeper. Looking at that sign over there.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like maybe he should have reordered those, but you know, to each his own. To each his own. No, thank you guys for coming down to the studio, and actually a big thank you to everyone who has been supporting ASL on the Patreon. If you would like to support ASL, then you can check it out. It's on patreon.com/ASL English.
Yeah, sign up for a year if you can. We wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, so we really, really appreciate you. In this game, we've got a depot up at the top of the entrance, and a barracks is going to be made down there below that. Soulkey's going to be going for hatchery first, so this should be a pretty slow game to start things off.
Yeah, the wall makes a lot of sense, and Soulkey, he's not playing like scared or anything here. You know, getting that hatchery first, even though 8 barracks has been like pretty popular lately. You know, that is a little mini mind game almost at the beginning of Terran vs. Zerg, because 8 racks openers are so strong. But Mong is really a guy that just wants to play a pretty standard macro game, right? Like just SK Terran, get a lot of Marines, medics, and science vessels, maybe some dropships and fire bats in there as well, and just try to outmuscle his opponent.
So the SCV is going to come through here. The drone is not going to pursue it. We have seen some of these It's like a small thing, but in the meta in a lot of these matchups, if you can get moving shot off on an SCV, it's sometimes better to do that than to even scout, because you can just kill their worker off. They just have no idea what's going on the map. There can be unusual cheeses that follow from there. But in this game, the drone's going to come down. It is going to scout and see that it's a double depot here with the barracks. No command center behind that just yet, but obviously with a wall in like this, you would expect a command center very shortly here.
Yeah, it would be incredibly weird if he did not go ahead and expand off of that. But, you know, the follow-up is a little bit less clear. He could go quick gas for like a factory and a Valkyrie rush. He could go quick gas for a quick +1. He could go a second barracks for an academy rush. You know, there's like a lot of different openers you can do behind that wall because you are so safe. You don't need to make a bunker or anything. As long as you have some Marines out there at the front, you're going to be feeling pretty good.
Those Marines are going to be coming back now. There's enough Zerglings on the map that you need to be very careful to never have a stray Marine alone. Zerglings in small numbers just destroy Marines in small numbers.
Yeah.
And so he's going to be chased back a little bit here.
And he does have a few Marines out of the front. Looks like he's just trying to zone out some of these Zerglings here. And, you know, that's like a little thing that top pros are always doing, is moving these Marines out and, like, trying to catch a Zergling here and there. Maybe threaten an attack that's not really going to happen. If you can force your opponent even to make 2 more Zerglings, you're pretty happy about that. But looking at Mong's build, you can see he did get that fast gas, and he does throw down the engineering bay. So he's going to be rushing to +1 attack. And, yeah, that's just very common right now. Everyone really likes +1 with 4 barracks and putting pressure on. But I feel like Soulkey is the best surrogate dealing with this. He's, like, really, really good at just holding back his mutas and massing lings and killing the army at exactly the right moment. That's been, like, his superpower in this matchup for a long time.
Yeah, and I think in this game, generally speaking, there's really no need for Soulkey to do anything fancy. I think mechanically he should just be better than Mong. And, you know, if you have any tricky or creative builds you want to try to use, why would you waste them on Mong? If you can play a straight-up mechanical macro game and just try to take fights in the middle of the map, you should be fine. The Toolings are going to get in here. They will be able to scout both the eBay and the timing of the Academy to finish.
And that's a very good scout. You know, this is such a strong play. And what did Mong really gain by walking out? Nothing, to be honest. You see Terrans do this all the time, where like they try to walk out, but it's such a common play to just run some lings in when you do. So I feel like unless you have a tight wall or you have units to catch the lings as they run in, I don't know. I don't quite get it. Because it's not like Soulkey thinks that 8 Marines are going to walk across the map to his natural, you know? He didn't flinch. He didn't make a sunken. Not the end of the world that all that gets scouted. You know, you can kind of tell just by seeing no medics at the front that it's +1, but still, don't feel like Mong needed to do that.
So the Spire is finishing. We're going to have these Mutalisks made in a second. He's just keeping the 2 Zerglings outside to check when, you know, and even if the Marines are going to leave. No sunken colonies back at home. 3 more barracks are being finished up over here for Mong. So Mong's going to have a lot of muscle and the ability to really push out on the map and generate threats, but that really can't kick in until those extra barracks are actually done. And we can see the barracks at the entrance now. It's been lifted off. It's going to be sent over to be in kind of a macro spot with the rest of those barracks here.
Yeah, starting to put those missile turrets down as well. It's a tough balance with this particular build. Like, how many turrets do you make? Because you need to put pressure on with the Marines. You need to be producing them. You need to be hitting your depots. And you actually do have to start a factory in the next, like, maybe 45 seconds. Mong does need to start a factory. So you have to skimp on turrets a little bit and get your Marines out there. We'll see if Mong can kind of tread that line.
Yeah, I like the bunker just north of the command center here. It makes it a little bit harder to try to come in and hit any of their angles. And I do feel like Mong's defenses, I mean, they're pretty nicely buttoned up. I don't know where these mutas can really hit or do anything. By the way, Zerg does have a 3rd base over in the far top right. We do have overlords that are being parked at the top left, and he's rotating through those to put them into control groups. As the Marines come out, the mutas are going to try to dive in and maybe draw the Marines back home, but Mong is not taking the bait. He is instead going to push a little bit further out, and we're probably going to have to see some sunken colonies started back at home here for Soulkey.
Yeah, Soulkey definitely at minimum has to make all of his larvae into units. This is like a perfect move out for Mong. He scanned exactly where the 4th was, and he saw how many drones were there. So he knows that Soulkey here was kind of faking, right? He only made like 5 mutas and flew across the map. So he was spending everything on the drones. And if you don't move out at that time, Soulkey gets a big advantage. His economy will be amazing. He's going to be able to produce so much. And so Mong has tried to move out, but look at this. Soulkey seamlessly gets into his unit production, and he definitely has enough to stop this small group.
Kind of wild. No sunken colonies back home. Every drone being used to mine here. Mong now going to move out with a huge amount of infantry here. +1 range attack is done. Armor, no doubt, has started. But, you know, Soulkey has not blinked so far. He's just continuing to macro. He's going to go get more of those lings. He's tacking into those lurkers. We have double starport here being made for Mong. Keep in mind, I do think Soulkey is probably the very best in the whole world at taking fights against Terran with Ling Muta. The number of times he just makes it look like it's not a fair matchup, even though it is crazy.
Yeah, he does this even against, like, Flash when Flash was around, right? Like, this is exactly the move that we know Soulkey for. He will crush your Marine Medic Force, and as soon as he kills that one time, Soulkey almost never loses from this position. If he kills one of your armies and he hasn't taken damage, you're generally screwed at that point. So we'll see about that. There are some Lings that, some Marines that got split off and sent up here. So this is a great move from Mong. He's going to get a couple of drones, gets the Hydra. He's going to get another drone, forcing Lost Mining as well. Very, very good move.
Yeah, the drones are going to be sent back, but even interrupting this for a little bit is pretty big. He did see the Queen's nest, so he knows that the hive is just around the corner. I don't see lurkers yet, but they have to be morphing. There's a couple little blips on the mini-map here. And from there, I think we're going to see Soulkey probably try to dominate outside the entrance of the Terran's base here. The science facility is a little bit over halfway done. I guess that starport is a little bit exposed here, but the Marines are going to come in here and drive that back. And for the time being, we don't really have any map presence here from Mong, all because of that big attack that Soulkey just shut down.
Now, Soulkey is bringing his lurkers down. If he can get about 5 lurkers right around where the mutas are right now, like right in front there, then the game will be almost over. Now, this is 2. It's not quite enough. Mong has to push through this right now. He should cancel that bunker and, like, try to break out. Oh, that's 4 lurkers. Ooh. That's almost unbreakable. Almost unbreakable. And his factory is floating. And the thing is, if you try to land a factory and get tanks, before you push these sufficiently away, defilers will be at your base. This is a very common tactic for Zergs right now. You go heavy muta, you keep tearing in their base, you run your lurkers up contain, and you follow with a defiler. And, like, this is done all the time by every Zerg in the world right now in this matchup, and it is incredibly hard to get out of.
I gotta tell you, man. Oh my god, hold on. He's gonna try to break out, but there's 2 more lurkers in the back. There's no way Monk should be able to take this fight. The mutas are gonna come in here just to tank a little bit of damage, and these Marines are getting shredded. By the way, one of those lurkers earlier could hit the scanner, which is wild, right? I mean, I guess with vessels coming out here, it's not the end of the world, but he's gonna come in here for another dive. He comes right in, burrows, leapfrogs the other lurkers up here. I think this may be GG, Artosis.
Yeah, this is definitely GG. And all of this comes down to Soulkey killing that group out on the map so efficiently. GG. Soulkey gonna win game 1 in an absolutely dominating fashion. He was never in danger. He took almost 0 damage throughout the game. He systematically picked apart Mong's army, got his units in position, and did the killing move. Soulkey looking to be in perfect shape right now.
I mean, that was something else. Soulkey, just easy peasy Mong. Look, Mong's not out of this yet, obviously, but Soulkey just kind of reminded everybody just why he won that last season so well. Yeah, any thoughts, Artosis?
That was just, it was perfectly done, and that's how he plays, and you have to know that. I think only, a Royal Cheese or Light or JYJ are the only people that really have a shot Terran versus Zerg against Soulkey. We'll see if they're able to do that, but yeah, you can see here, Soulkey utilizing that ramp so well, just reducing the Marine count. He got his drones up, and then he went into Ling Muta, was able to crush that army. This is why he's the best. You want to be a great Zerg player, learn from Soulkey and play like this.
he does seem to be able to pull away with the mutas, and it reconfigures the position of the Marines so that the Zerglings can come in and flatten it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, he hits here from behind. He also, as the observer showed us, made for +1 attack, but the fact that he hits from the bottom with the mutas and then the top with the lings, it just makes it so that the medics become very quickly obsolete as damage is spreading too quickly.
Well, that was a beautiful clinic on how to play Zerg vs. Terran right now. He's known for a long time. A lot of people copying him. And yeah, he moves on to that winners match. The dangerous best of one portion is over for him. His next match will be best of 3. But first, a commercial break and then Bisu versus JYJ.
불 좀 켜줄래? 내 의자 좀 보게. 오늘 내 기분? 각도로 말할게. 이 바퀴 내 무게가 다 담아질까? 하루만 네 의자에 메시가 되고 싶어. 알고 싶어 너의 커스텀 값. 만들어봐 네 의자에 꿀려서.
불 좀 켜줄래? 내 의자 좀 보게. 오늘 내 기분 컬러로 말할게. 이 의자, 내 아름다움이 다 담아질까? 하루만 네 의자에 메쉬가 되고 싶어. 알고 싶어 너의 특별 할인가. 만들어봐 네 의자에 꿀자세.
Welcome back, everybody. It is time to get into this PvT. It's not every day where I'm saying I think JYJ gets out of this group, and it's Tastosis saying Bisu's going to survive this, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, this is actually probably the most important game for Bisu in the group. Oh man, and dude, Bisu really is the greatest Protoss. His music, his play, his legendary status, everything about it. But no, he's in really, really good shape right now. He really is. You know, and I agree with you. Normally, he's like he's like always going to make round of 16, but is he going to make round of 8 is always kind of a question. But I think right now Bisu's in fantastic shape. But again, this is best of 1. And that can always be tough. Your opponent can always bring something you don't expect and maybe win, and JYJ is great at this matchup. But more scarily is Mong is a beast in Terran vs. Protoss. So if he goes that loser's match, there is no guarantee he comes out of it.
Yeah. JYJ's been in great form. And look, I mean, the thing with Bisu is, you know, obviously there was a period of time where he was like basically the best player in the world. He was leading the Protoss revolution. He's been one of these old school players from that, as sometimes we call it, golden era of StarCraft 1, and he's still able to hang with the very best. No matter who he goes up against, he looks incredible, except for a couple of games against Flash that looked really, really bad. But,
yeah.
you know, And the fact that he's been this active, he's clearly not giving up on StarCraft. He's not done competing. Maybe this could be his season. Let's see what he's got. PVT is going to have to be the matchup. He's going to be. It'll be the most important matchup for him because of the number of Terrans in the group. Anyways, we're going to get into this match right now here. Bisu versus JYJ on Apocalypse. Okay, Bisu up here at 12 o'clock. And, oh God, what would that even be in clocks down here in the bottom right, Artosis?
Bottom right
I always cheat and say the bottom right o'clock. So, let's see what kind of game Bisu's going to give us. On this map, by the way, it's 3 players, but 2 of the gas geysers actually point towards your entrance. So there's a trick some Protosses are doing where they just make a pylon at their natural and then do a coin flip gas steel build.
Yeah.
So just send it to one of the bases that has the gas sticking out. No matter where you spawn, you will have a place to send that to. And if you pull it off, you've suddenly done a gas steel on a map where you're technically not supposed to be able to get away with that strategy. So there's the pylon, but he did not send it across. Oh, from San Diego. Excellent.
He's done it. He can leave this earth
He's
happy.
done it. You can die now. It's okay. You don't need to look both ways before you cross the street going back to your hotel.
Yeah, you're basically invincible now. That's sick. Congrats, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, the gas steel obviously very, very strong on, if you get it on any map that's not 2-player, it's way stronger because if Terran doesn't scout you right away, like, you could be doing anything, and it's so hard to react. So, but he's not going for that. Bisu choosing to be a bit honorable. I can't even. Is JYJ going command center first?
Oh, he must be.
Tastosis.
No, Artosis. He's going for 2 late barrackses.
Tastosis,
So
this is.
I can't even believe. This is wild.
This is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. Like, hey, I hope that he wins and I get to learn something. But, like, Bisu, okay, so Bisu
Why would he do this?
got 4 or 5 kills against Terrans in the, the Race Survivor series that all the top guys play. And they were all based off of Zealots. Like, his early Zealot pressure was extremely good. There's a Zealot about to pop out of that gateway, Tastosis. You don't make that forward gateway to go Dragoon first. Now, here's the thing. JYJ is taking such an insanely huge gamble here. Maybe he has it timed out where he actually holds on against his ally. I don't know. But I'm looking at this, and I'm very nervous for him. I think that Bisu, he has a Zealot on the way. This is going to be tough. If Bisu went for either a Dragoon first or he went for a Nexus first, this build is amazing. But if they go Zealot first, I have never seen Command Center first able to deal with the Zealot first, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, the Marine hasn't even started. The barracks isn't done yet. Second Zealot is inbound here. He's going to make a proxy pylon Artosis. I think he wants to do the Reaver bust behind this.
Oh my God, he's going to kill the SCV. This is pretty bad already. There's a second Zealot almost here. Yeah, and even when you get siege tanks and stuff, this Reaver bust is tough. Here, what? I don't know, man.
Dude, this is so bad. I can't even believe it. Okay, 1 Zealot gets trapped. That's actually pretty big. He does not kill it, though. So, I mean, how many SCVs have been killed? Is it like 5 or 6 now? This is so many.
It's bad, man. It's a lot of SCVs have fallen, and he'll get the bunker up. But the thing is, you've slowed everything. The factory's not started. JYJ, he's got another while before he's going to have the gas to actually do that. Plenty of Zealots out here, so he can't really push forward. Look, he's going to go to the left, so he's not even going to see the Robo unless he darts around. And this is the build that Bisu used in the previous round. This is dude, everyone on the ladder does this against gasless expansions right now. It is hard to hold. It is, even with the double bunker that Seed did not do against Bisu, even with that, it's still pretty darn hard to hold. So, in this situation, it's going to be tough.
So he puts the battery down here. The SCVs are going to be pulled. He's going to try to bum rush it. Now, this
Yeah.
could get pretty interesting here. This is, I think, one of the better moves to go for, is to basically try to bum rush the Robo, because if you end up getting the kill on it, the whole build backfires. It's a total disaster.
Yeah.
The SCV has almost finished the bunker, so there could be a world where Marines could try to dart up here and just run up. That being said, it's going to be, pretty tough. Okay, no, he's just going to go for it. I can't believe it.
Wow.
Oh, my God. Whoa.
That's pretty wild, but he's killed so many SCVs, Tastosis, that I think even if you were to kill all these buildings, Bisu's okay, because there's no economy for JYJ at this point, right? Like, he's lost so many SCVs.
Oh, this is so weird. So what happens now? Does he just give up?
I feel like Bisu could make a Nexus and he would be okay, you know? Like, how many SCVs have we seen die this game? Is it like 15?
It's got to be so many. I would be really curious what it looks like at the mineral patches here. He started another Robo. Does have one Dragoon in here, and I guess this is just like see what you can get done with this unit moment. Like, this is not really like a play. It's not even really that good, but it's what Bisu has, and so he's going to try to see what kills he can get with that. He loses more than 50% of the hull HP on that, so I mean, this is pretty brutal. The Reaver has been delayed, and the reality is Heron does have 2 command centers to a Nexus that only just started a second ago.
So maybe he catches up in
kind of
workers?
crazy.
You think? Like, maybe it'll be even as that finishes? Something like that?
You usually cut workers around 23 supply when you're doing this rush. You're all in.
Yeah.
Oh,
I noticed that as well.
One player was making SCVs, the other was not making any workers.
I think you might be right that he'll catch up in workers, but the first tank just popped out. We don't, like, I think he's making his engineering bay right now. He hasn't started siege. There's about to be a Reaver. Like, he finished the Robo, he brings the shuttle home. No doubt a Reaver's on the way, so he is going to be able to come over here and either drop harass in the main or maybe even just push into the bunker here.
Yeah, pretty incredible stuff with that bunker rush. I have to say, like, in my experience, because I actually run this build quite a bit, I used it more often in the past. I feel like people got so good at stopping it, but usually the worst case scenario is that they figure out what you're doing and just attack it with SCVs in a bunker, because the whole rush gets screwed up. Now, I think if any player in the world could recover from this, it would be Bisu. I think he's been so good at every type of chaotic PvT.
Yeah.
But this is going to be a tough one. I think JYJ is looking really strong.
Yeah, JYJ's hold was much better than anticipated here. I definitely will give him that. It felt pretty bad when he lost, 5 SCVs to the initial couple Zealots, which ended up living as well. So, he's somehow making this command center first that got Zealot rushed kind of work, especially from blocking the insane proxy robo play that's been so strong. And now Bisu's flying around with the Reaver, unable to really get it in there. Some great mirroring there from JYJ. And I think Bisu has to come up with another plan now. Man, I tell you, I'm surprised. I'm impressed that he was able to do this.
Oh, it looks like he might have found an opening here. This is with shuttle speed now being done. He didn't quite get the Reaver out in the first drop. He's going to fire another shot in here. A lot of times in these moments, you want to hit the Marines, just because that way you don't have anything that can start to pick at your shuttle. And he's trying to basically rotate between these 2 positions.
Yeah, and actually,
pulling here has been so good.
If the Scarab goes off near the Marines at all, they die as well. Whereas, like, if you have a running SCV, sometimes it'll live. So, like, it's basically always a money shot as well. But he loses the Reaver. Oh, man. A little bit rough, right? Like, he's invested so much into Reaver play, hasn't really gotten the value out of it. The Marine almost killing that shuttle as it runs out. And back at home, it's like, okay, well, you do have speed shuttles, a few gates. It doesn't look that good. I think that JYJ has an edge here for sure.
I think he's got a big edge. Is he going to push? I feel like it might be just a little bit too soon to push. I think you need just enough vultures, enough backing in general on your tanks to take this. The third Nexus is just now starting up over here. Truly, Bisu is playing from a position where he's very much behind.
Yeah.
JYJ made I think the right call in just getting a little bit more conservative here. He's just staying back and trying to, make sure there's not like, let's say, 2 shuttles about to fly in again. That's one way when you go for these Reaver plays, you can really punish a Terran. Right when they think it's their turn to come out on the map, you can fly in with 1 shuttle that's just full of Zealots and drop that. That'll kill the turrets and be a little bit of a distraction while the other shuttle can unload the Reavers. But I mean, when you look inside the base that JYJ has, there's literally nowhere the Reaver's safe to go into.
Yeah. It's super well defended. I'm thinking in my head right now, Tastosis, because the opening really felt Bisu favored. I want to throw this out there and see what you think, but I feel like Bisu gave JYJ the opportunity here to shut down what he was doing by following up his Zealot Rush with the proxy play. I feel like if he had just made a Nexus and gone range, he would have been in a winning position no matter what, like been ahead no matter what, right? Whereas he took the risk trying to finish here.
Well, I mean, it's a weird situation, right? Because you get there and it's like, oh my god, he went Command Center first. Like, how many games do you ever play where you're in this situation?
0, man.
when you're doing builds, a lot of it is just being used to being in these situations, right? And there's some situations, even for viewers that don't play the game, they've seen it so many times. Like the game we just casted before at TVZ, that was like a very straightforward game. I don't think that's hard for anybody to understand. Even for Bisu, who's like such a veteran and such an innovator historically, I think you very rarely have like your 2 Zealot rush coming in and it's Command Center first and the exact balancing act what you want to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When is it not just a winning move but a win more move that's unnecessary?
Exactly. Yeah, that's good analysis, I think. Like it's hard to say exactly what you need to do, but I do feel that way, that he kind of took a place where he could have been at a very strong advantage and took the risk to try to finish instead of just expanding and maintaining that advantage. And now JYJ is starting to push out. I think Bisu's going to be totally fine. He has his 3 bases mining. He has a good amount of gateways. He has the speed shuttle with Reavers still in it. And I don't know if his Zealot Legs upgrade is done. No, not yet. But as that finishes, these 5-fact plays become very hard to make work.
Ooh, another shot connects on that. He's got to be careful with the Goliath range upgrade. Like, it's so easy to lose this shuttle. He's got to go for another shot. He doesn't actually pick off the shuttle somehow, some way. This is insane. This attack is so good.
Yeah.
By the way, Bisu barely even microing. It looks like he was already back at home macroing again. He could probably even bust this next one down. The shuttle is picked off. But there's just not enough to actually protect these tanks. There's another shuttle now coming up from the bottom with a Reaver in it, apparently. I don't know what the story with this one is.
Who even needs Zealot Legs, man? The slow Zealots are perfect for breaking pushes, apparently. Really, really well done from Bisu. And now he's up in supply pretty significantly. Still doesn't have Zealot Legs. Oh, the boxer move. Dude, that's so hard to do. But very well done from JYJ, using the mine to hop over. Dude, I love it. I love it. Boxer, I think, was the first guy that did that. And I tell you what, Tastosis, I try to do that every time I see pylons like that. It's 1 in 50 times I get it. It's so hard.
Oh, yeah, it's so hard to actually pull it off. That's crazy. It looks like he did it with just 1 click. He glitched it through. So the Templar Archives is coming along. And, I mean, we're seeing these vultures come out on the map and lace some mines, but, the best feeling in the world that you can have as a Protoss in the mid-game is where they did their push, they built up to that moment, and you slaughtered it. And now they're kind of back on square one here.
It's definitely
maybe a little bit too greedy.
Yeah, definitely a tough position for Terran from here. You lost all of those siege tanks. He's got 3 base, and Bisu's 4th base is not super fast. So that's kind of nice as well. I want to see, though, what the next tech is going to be. Do you think it'll just be like storm drops with shuttles?
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be the trend right now. We don't have a starport, and we have a Templar Archives, so probably Psystorm. Even for me, I mean, that's what I'm running now, is a lot of times just getting the Templars out, trying to blanket areas with Storm and keep making shuttles. I don't know if we're going to have a second Robo here as well. That's been something that's gone up in popularity quite a bit. It looked so experimental a couple of years ago, but now it just sort of makes sense. But you also don't have to get a second robo either. You can just play a pretty tight game with the right number of observers, and then just being a little bit more conservative with your shuttles.
Well, right now we have a good defensive spread from JYJ. Has some missile turrets up pretty much everywhere, mines laid, tanks spread and sieged. And Bisu is getting his 4th base up, so he's going to want to kind of clear those vultures that are on the map so he can transfer some probes. Very big, very scary army. It really looks to me like Bisu's just kind of getting ready to try to break the next push.
Keep in mind, Bisu has not, mass expanded. He's actually playing a really tight game here.
Yeah.
He's just now transferring workers to his 4th base. So he's very interested in powering up here. There could be oh my god. I didn't quite see how many workers were killed, but it looks like that was pretty much
that had to be 6 or 7 workers killed by that mine. That was pretty significant. He catches other ones as well. This is some excellent vulture usage here from JYJ. That has to be really frustrating for Bisu. Loses a big chunk of his economy there. You can see on the mini-map he has barely any probes in his main. I think he was trying to transfer down for just like a really balanced distribution of probes. So, that's a bit rough. He will be able to get that there. Oh my god, a vulture drop coming in as well. Dude, JYJ is on fire right now.
He's looking so good. And, this is one of these super frustrating moments for the Protoss when you have your whole area walled in with pylons, and you can only send Zealots back there because obviously Zealots aren't great against Vultures. Now, Bisu's going to be moving up over here. He's got a lot of shuttles, and keep in mind, when you see this many Vultures on the map, it can mean that they just don't have anything back at home to defend.
Dude, this
is he going to try to bust this?
Look at this. He leads with the observers to try to draw shots so his shuttles can unload. Sends 4 shuttles in. He has some Psy Storm, but there's so many tanks to the south here. That could be really dangerous. Can he get storms off? One beautiful storm. He needs another on those 3 tanks, but does not have it right now. He'll clear that top part. The Vulture's coming up, trying to pick off some of these. I think JYJ is going to end up holding, but Bisu actually does better than I anticipated with this attack.
Yeah, he really shoved his way in there. SCVs are now being pulled. Some storms are coming down on these tanks as well. And, I don't know that Terran can actually save this command center. This is kind of crazy. I never imagined that a whole area would be busted, but when you see that many Vultures sent out on the map, sometimes it can be a blessing in disguise for the Protoss. Now, maybe these Dragoons get trapped in here. That's always a bit of an awkward trade, but look at this. He's got 2 shuttles. I guess he can probably load Zealots up in here and just bombard this.
Yeah, he's going to get that command center. I think you're right about that. As long as he kind of focus fires, I think he'll get it. Now we have the Zealots dropping on top of these tanks, dragging some mines in as well. He's trying... Dude, Bisu needs to focus fire. Killing that command center, it's worth losing these goons.
Yeah, well, he does manage to kill it. I think now the question is going to be, can he get these Dragoons out in time? He might even want to try picking them up with shuttles, and I guess it's actually too late. He's going to come in again. Now, both sides have suffered some pretty big losses. I think JYJ getting a little bit maybe overly eager here to try to take this fight. Has bled off even more tanks, and this is kind of crazy, Artosis. We're at 17 minutes and 50 seconds. Look at how little of the map in this PvT has been taken.
It's been a wild
Very
game.
different looking game.
Yeah. Normally by now, every single map except maybe the one to the bottom left of JYJ's main would be taken on Apocalypse. That would be a very normal game, max out armies on both sides. JYJ trying to take the center or something. Here, JYJ is sitting on 2 base against a 4 base of Bisu. They have both just done so much damage to each other. But looking at this layout, if you have 4 bases with as healthy mineral patches as Bisu has, and then you look at the mineral patches of JYJ, I cannot imagine JYJ winning this. I can't imagine it.
Yeah, I'm loving the Psystorm drops here as well. Just take out any SCVs you can, especially when they're on 2 bases like this. 1 or 2 Psystorm drops, you could take out so many of the workers. It's wild, man.
Yeah.
More shuttles are going to be loaded up here. JYJ is going to expand and take his 3rd base again. Looks like that command center's almost done. But again, Protoss is not really where they need to be in this matchup for this to be 100% winning from Bisu. He's been playing a very tight game. Here comes another storm drop.
Now, here's what I think we need to see from Bisu Tasteless. First off, I think that should probably be the last Storm drop for a little bit. I think you want to save some Storms, make sure you have some in case there's an attack. Because I feel like JYJ attacking is the way to victory if you don't have Storms. I do not want to see Bisu attack here. If he sits kind of in an arc up there and takes a 5th base, I think that is the perfect situation for him. Because by the time JYJ attacks, he'll have 1 mining base, and then Bisu will have 3. Right? Like, as his natural's running out, he'll probably send those probes to the 5th base. And if you have 3 times the mining bases of your opponent, that's not a winning situation for anybody.
Well, it seems like he's going to try to bust again Artosis.
Oh, I don't think he should do this. I think this is exactly...
I think this
is how you lose this game. Or if you lose. I think he'll probably still win, but, like, this is dangerous.
Well, these unloads are pretty off the hook, man. The Storms are pretty scary. He has kind of cracked open this position, but, you know, there's a tank. You've got 2 tanks even up there by the command center, so I think Bisu maybe made a pretty egregious error here. Definitely overextending. Some Side Storms coming down here on those SCVs. Very nicely done. He is going to pick off these stray tanks. Vultures alone might still be able to do this just because the Dragoon numbers are not that high, and there's not that much surface area to work with here. He's going to actually manage to save that Templar. But again, you know, 100 supply to 84 supply. The issue, I think, is that Bisu he's trading in a lot, and he's not really growing.
Yeah.
Like, instead of attacking back there, I would have liked to have seen him take 2 bases in the bottom left.
Yeah.
And start to fill that up with gateways. Maybe a couple Storm drops here or there. But, yeah, I think he's eating off a lot of units in these trades.
You're giving JYJ the best possible engagements he can have. Literally the best possible, because he's spread how he wants defensively, and you're attacking into that. Whereas if you sit in an arc on top of the ramp, if JYJ wants to attack, he can, but he has to clump up coming up there, right? He has to not be near his missile turrets. He has to kill his mines to move across them. You know, all these different things where you can abuse him with Psystorm, you can abuse him with attack move. And if you have a 5th base, again, the math is just completely in your favor. But Bisu is like, he's trading 4 base against 3 base right now. And it just... I feel like if he would just fix that, he would crush.
Well, these Storm drops are really paying off. You know, games where Terran is Storm dropped versus games where they're not look so different.
Yeah.
Because when you're not being Storm dropped at all, the Terran will just vacuum up so many resources. The pushes are much scarier. But games like this where you're forcing the Terran to constantly remake SCVs, things kind of drag on. Looks like the shuttle was shot down there by the bunker. Again, we do not have a 5th base. And it just seems like Bisu wants to bust him down again. The natural, by the way, has been mined out. So this 3rd base for JYJ, this is all he's got.
Yeah, it's tough. And you just saw, he just scanned that bottom left main base because he's like, okay, do you have that? And as soon as you see they don't have that, it gives you a little glimmer of hope. And sometimes, Tasteless, hope is all Terrans have.
He picks off 1 Vulture there with those Dragoons. He's sending a lot more down here. I'm so glad Bisu's sending this Dragoon Observer group down here to just clean this up. The Vultures are going to come out on the map. Now, again, remember, when you send Vultures out like this, it can be tempting for Bisu to come in there and try to just, you know, dive onto that 3rd base. The Vultures are trying to see if they can intercept the probe. The probe is actually to the right of the screenshot here, and I don't think that they're going to find it. Another thing you could do if you wanted to as Bisu is just put a probe in a shuttle and just drop it into the main. You don't have to deal with this whole attempt to assassinate the worker that's on the move.
I like that. That's actually a really smart move. I don't see Protosses ever do that, actually.
When you're playing mass shuttle, it's like, no, you got a shuttle, you can do this. You're fine. You don't need to just, you know, let them sit there full of zealots the whole time.
Well, he's loading up quite a few shuttles right now. JYJ has taken his high ground. JYJ actually should just float one of his command centers to that top right expand. Okay, he is. That's exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, he is.
That's actually a really important move because he can't afford another command center, but he has to get another base. And he actually has to stay turtled here as well. He can't attack because he just can't refill anything. You know, generally as Terran, like, if you have all your upgrades, you can kind of function on 2 mining bases, but 1, absolutely not. You can't make anything on 1 base. Think about it, right? Like, why do you see so few prolonged games on 1 base? It's just like you can't afford anything. When you double that income, though, suddenly you have some units to play with. So if he can get this up and mining, we kind of go back into like, okay, this is a game, this is competitive. But right now, with Bisu taking that 5th, he should be feeling very advantaged.
Bisu's almost maxed out, and I think he may go for a big attack up here. I think he wants to try to shatter the position on top of the platform. So one of these shuttles is full of Templars, the other 3 should be full of Zealots. So the Goliaths are going to try to gun this down. Dude, he's coming in from so many different angles. Here come those Psystorm drops. This looks so scary. He's hitting these tanks all the way in the back. There's still more Templars coming in here from the north. I see more tanks filtering up. I'm not totally clear that this position's going to be wiped yet.
The D-Matrixes
so many
are wild. I can't believe it. He had like 4 D-Matrixes in there, and without those, he gets completely wiped. So very good spellcasting there from JYJ. Bisu is going to have to back up. Man, like, JYJ just refuses to die here, no matter how big Bisu's army is.
I can't believe this started out with Command Center first and Protoss almost winning the game with it. Like, that's insane to me.
Yeah.
By the way, you know, it wouldn't hurt, I think, to start to make a Reaver or 2 here or there.
Oh.
As long as he can keep these workers alive. Reavers get really handy in these games where it's actually that scrappy. Like,
yeah.
You know, these Zealots back here, they can be dealt with Vultures. But, like, if you have 2 Reavers back here,
yeah.
Suddenly it's like you have to tank push into your actual 4th base. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's actually a really good call. Like, if Bisu did that, well, I don't even think about Reavers this late in the game. My brain just says only Snow can do that, right? But you're definitely right. When the armies are this small, it's kind of like the early game again, where the Reaver actually becomes a dominating unit. You know, look at our supplies, 70 to 115. That's Reaver territory right there. So I definitely agree with you. You know, Bisu though, he's got to be careful. If you start losing, like if he loses this group, ooh, that, you know, suddenly we might have a situation where JYJ can do a big attack. Well, not big, but, you know, a small attack that could kill a lot of stuff. Because Bisu doesn't have all that much left.
A big attack, or, you know, maybe actually the opposite of it, a very small attack instead.
Well, the supplies are super low for 26 minutes in the game. The fact that we're at 82 supply against 130, and so that people understand, a huge chunk of Bisu's supply is probes still, even though he did lose a lot of probes this game. There's not many SCVs. So even though this looks dominating supply-wise for Bisu, their army sizes, I bet you, are pretty close.
Yeah, I'd be curious what the SCV count is for JYJ right now. Because, I mean, we don't have almost any SCVs over here. There's been a lot of storm drops throughout this game. I feel like we're starting to get to the point of diminishing returns here for some of these storm drops where it's like we're literally storming 1 to 2 SCVs.
Yeah.
But look, you know, it's 4 base to 5 base. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it seems like the game is going to go on. Terran, by the way, is sort of out of bases, so to speak. Well, here comes another great storm drop. Really nicely done.
Yeah, where's our SCVs? He's got like 5 SCVs coming up. He's probably making sure that he's got like all of his depleted geysers. He's sending those SCVs over at this point, right? That's when you know you're desperate. When you're checking your base, like, did I have an SCV that built a depot and I forgot to send it back? You know, you're looking for those right now. Whereas Bisu is up 100 supply. He's going to attack again. There's no way JYJ is holding it this time.
No, I think at this point in time he should be able to break him. He's just going to continue to drop these Zealots wherever he can. He storms over here. And I don't know, man. I mean, these attacks, the angles are not exactly that pretty. I mean, I feel like JYJ is hanging on so well. I think the game is still probably over, but he's just trading very inefficiently.
Yeah, it's pretty wild that JYJ is even still in this game, and you can see his supply getting so low at this point. Another Psystorm is ready, throws it down on those tanks, and that Goliath continuing to deal some damage. I think he just barely won't kill this command center. Oh, the SCVs go back through the storm to try to repair. Oh my god. He will end up picking off those SCVs, and this command center will end up dying. Bisu, though, not even trying to take another Nexus. GG. Bisu takes it. Dude, that was one of the most down and dirty games.
Crazy.
Especially against top-tier players. Like, this is one of the top 4 Protoss against one of the top 4 Terrans in the world. And that was a dirty game. My God, they're filthy after that. They have to take showers.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, neither player happy with that game. By the way, Bisu knows you probably should have expanded more. It was such a chaotic and weird early game that it sort of set the rest of the trajectory and pacing of that game. It took a very slow, kind of long haul match. Bisu did just kind of brute force his way through there at the very end, but JYJ was hanging on with almost nothing. It was like the Spartan army over here. Crazy. I guess now I hope he's going to be okay after this short break, because in a little bit we're going to be going to a PvZ here with Bisu versus Soulkey.
Yeah, now we see how many probes were killed right there by that. It was a huge amount. He did a great job. You look at that, 41 probes against 61 SCVs after all this. And then he had the vulture drops as well. Dude, Bisu really dropped low as far as workers. Look at that.
Yeah, that's insane that he actually was down by that much. And it was the storm drops that came after this. Or no, actually storm drops happened before this. Then here comes the big bust that he does here. This is crazy to me. He's, yeah, at 38 probes to 61 SCVs, and this is where he actually evens the game out.
This was so well done.
Even using the observers to tank, it's so crazy.
That was actually really important. Like, he needed every unit coming out of those shuttles. That was strategically really well done. This attack, it scared me when he did this, because like JYJ was so well set up. But good execution from Bisu. The fact that he got the command center was gigantic. Got a lot of SCVs in there. I tell you, I feel like Bisu here. Yeah, I feel like Bisu in this matchup is just like 10% better decision making from being the best Protoss like that there is. You know, Snow is definitely a bit better on deciding when to do these things, but Bisu does so many things really well right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. He's down that match, and instead of playing like a conservative game where he stays back and tries to grow, maybe just harass, he's like, nope, I'm going to have to take everything and try to bust him down right now. Short break, guys. Coming up next, we're going to see who's going to win in the round of 16 and move on to the round of 8.
이번 콘텐츠는 끝장 토론입니다. 스타크래프트 관련해서 주제를 선수들에게 좀 주어줬는데 근거가 더 논리적이고 제 마음을 울리는 선수에게 제가 아주 맛있는 캔디를 넣어주도록 하겠습니다. 더 많은 캔디를 획득한 선수가 토론의 승리자고요. 이런 방식으로 진행해보도록 하겠습니다. 첫 번째 주제입니다.
얼라리가 뭐야?
울라리가 뭐야 근데?
울라리, 히라리 모르세요?
그게 뭐야?
지금 저그가 뭐 가스도 딸리고 울라리 뜨려면 한참 남아서.
아니 울라리요?
네. 울라리요?
울트라 리스크를 울라리로 부르는 행위 가능한가 불가능한가입니다. 이재호 선수는 가능하다는 의견을 채택하셨고요. 김태경 선수는 불가능하다는 의견을 채택하셨습니다. 김태경 선수부터 들어볼게요.
네, 일단 이름이 울라리로 한다는 거는 스타크래프트 유닛이 맞나? 근본이 이제 사라진다는 느낌이 강하게 들더라고요. 저는 적응이 안 된다고 하죠.
근본을 벗어나는 행위다 이건.
그렇죠.
이건 탈선이다.
네.
이게 울라리라고 불러도 되는 이유가 뭐냐면 그 게이머들도 줄여서 말하는 말들이 있잖아요. 그 중에서 히드라 리스크 되는 히덴이라고 불러요. 그러면 울트라 리스크잖아요, 풀네임이. 그럼 울리라고 부를 수 있는 거죠. 울리로 부를 수 있으면 울라리라고도 부를 수 있는 거예요.
그렇죠.
그래서 저는 가능하다고 생각을 합니다.
굉장히 논리적인 의견이에요. 사실 줄이는 방식이 다를 뿐 줄이는 행위 자체에는 문제가 없다라는 게 이재호 선수의 논리인데 김태경 선수 반론하시죠?
근데 원래 이제 히드라 리스크 덴을 히덴이라고 원래 불렀어요. 그리고 울트라 리스크는 원래 울트라라고 불렀고요. 그냥 억지로 만든 느낌이 강하게 든다.
추가적인 근거가 있는 게 뭐냐, 근본을 얘기했는데
네.
저그의 근본, 이재동 선수가 방송에서 울라리라고 말을 했었어요.
그거는 이제
점수 드리겠습니다.
그리고 관행처럼
네.
우리가 뭐 불렀다고 말씀을 하셨는데 원래 관행이란 거는 안 좋은 거는 바뀔 수도 있는 거예요. 마치 뭐 군대에서 관행처럼 했던 악습들이 없어졌던 것처럼 관행이라고 해서 꼭 지켜줘야 될 필요는 없다. 뭐
시대의 흐름에 따라서.
네, 그렇죠. 변화에 따라서 바뀔 수 있는 거고, 그 근본인 그것도 저그의 상징처럼 불려지는 레전드 이재동 선수가 그렇게 인정을 했기 때문에 가능한 것이 아닌가.
울라리를 이제 부른다는 거는 여론몰이에 좀 형성이 많이 되지 않았나, 몰이에.
이게 민심을 얻기 위한
그렇죠.
하나의 퍼포먼스다.
맞아요. 이게 울트라라고 하면 민심이 좀 안 좋고 울라리라고 하면 민심이 좋더라고요, 요새. 그거에 좀 여론몰이가 당하고 있어요, 다들. 그래서 저 같은 사람이 이제 딱 잡아줄 때 잡아줘야 됩니다, 이게.
민심이 울라리면 울라리도 가능한 게 아닌가.
사람들이 또 환호하는 데는 다 이유가 있다.
그러니까 어감이란 게 있잖아요. 하이템플러 같은 경우는 핫템이라고 하지 뭐 하이라고 하지는 않잖아요.
하이.
예.
할 수도 있죠.
근데 그 어감이란 게 있습니다. 10년, 20년 동안 지켜왔던 그런 룰을 깨트리면 안 돼요, 원래.
근데 울트라 리스크를 울트라라고 줄여서 말하는 거는 하이템플러를 하이라고 불러야 되는 거 아닌가요?
그렇게 앞글자만 딸 거면
뭐 어떤 거는 앞에 거 불러서 울트라, 어떤 거는 앞에랑 뒤에랑 해서 핫템. 이게 더 근본이 없는 게 아닌가.
근데 재우 씨도 지금 핫템이라고 부르잖아요.
핫템이라고 부르죠.
그렇죠. 그 어감이란 게 있어요.
울라리도 울리도 가능하다.
그래서 그 어감이 착착 감기세요, 안 감기세요? 혼심을 말하세요, 진짜로. 울라리가 감기냐고요.
솔직히 감기진 않아요. 저도 인정합니다.
저는 무조건 울트라 아니면 플레임, 울트라 리스크 이렇게만 부를 거예요.
약간 막 3대 손 막 약간 이런.
원래 변화를 좀 싫어해요. 김태경 선수가 옛날부터 스타크래프트 세팅 같은 거 되게 오랫동안 잘 바꾸기로 유명했고.
윈도우 7, 윈도우 8, 윈도우 10 용수진 데빗 인사드리겠습니다. 충탁!
이런 부분에서 되게 보수적입니다.
마지막 변론을 하시겠습니까? 아니면은 뭐 충분하십니까?
저는 이제 근본을 지키고 싶은 전 프로게이머자 유저입니다. 저는 근본을 잊지 않았으면 좋겠고 네, 울트라 혹은 울트라 리스크, 플레임 이렇게 부르는 게 스타 20년, 30년 동안의 근본이지 않나 생각이 듭니다.
자, 그러면 이번 토론의 승자를 선택하도록 하겠습니다.
개수가 제가 더 많은데요, 이거?
이재호 선수가 승리하셨습니다. 동갑 친구로서 제가 조언을 살짝 드리면
네.
흐름을 타세요, 그냥.
아, 이게 흐름이에요?
네.
저는 안 됩니다.
안 됩니까? 알겠습니다.
불 좀 켜줄래? 내 의자 좀 보게. 오늘 내 기분? 각도로 말할게. 이 바퀴 내 무게가 다 담아질까? 하루만 네 의자에 메시가 되고 싶어. 알고 싶어 너의 커스텀 값. 만들어봐 네 의자에 꿀려서.
Welcome back, everybody. It's time to decide who gets out of this group. And look, I was thinking about this on the break. Maybe I made up my mind too much. I'm like, well, clearly Soulkey gets out no matter what. But maybe Bisu does it. Dude, I mean, he's looking really strong. That was a weird kind of rock game he just had there, but he clearly he's got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this should be a fun one.
Hey, Bisu still has it in Protoss versus Zerg. He absolutely still has it. He can beat everybody in the world. You know, Soulkey, obviously one of the most dangerous, if not the most dangerous Zerg for the past many years. I really feel like it can go either way. Like, I don't feel like I'm even leaning one way very much. Normally I have like a gut feeling. And generally in this matchup I do lean towards Zerg a little bit because I'm like, well, I mean, no matter what they do, they're going to get a win off a 3-hatch Hydra. So maybe
it happens a lot. The most common thing that happens in ASL since Protoss has died a 3-hatch Hydra. It's still really good.
Yeah.
We're going to be on Blitz Y for map number 1, then Citadel and on into Retro. No more best of ones, guys, as we get further along here in Group A. So interesting map lineup. Let's get into this, man.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Can't wait. I think, actually, looking at the map lineup, I think Bisu's going to do it. I think he's going to advance in first place here tonight.
That's really exciting if he does. I think probably Soulkey still takes this, but I'm trying to have an open mind here. Obviously, Soulkey just winning the previous ASL, as we expected him to. So many more ASLs before that. Anyways, guys, let's get into this. first player to advance to the round of 8 will be one of these two. Okay, we've got Bisu here in the very top right. Soulkey just south of him in the other spawn. One more plug, guys. Just if you haven't already, do give the Patreon a look. And if you have the money and you want to support us, it's really appreciated.
Yeah, thank you very much for everyone who has supported so far. Don't forget, if you go there, you get the Secret Tastosis podcast where we talk about exciting things such as being jet lagged and not missing flights. So
that's right. Yeah, our
we had
amazing
a sick one
episode
today.
we just had there. Wow.
After we did today's, we were laughing about it and how bad it was. We're like, we were just catching up with each other a little bit because we haven't really talked since California. We're like, oh yeah, how was your trip home? And like by the time we were done talking about these totally mundane, normal things, it was over. But yeah.
But had it gone on, I would have been like, well, I noticed I was out of eggs, so I went to the store and bought some eggs.
Yeah. Oh, perfect, excellent. You know,
so
I like eggs
interesting,
with
people.
hot sauce in the morning. That's normally, but I try to wait until after 11. Anyways, yeah. We have okay. I want to mention this before I kind of forget to do it. I think that Blitz Y is the best Protoss vs Zerg map in years.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, why do you think that, Artosis?
Well, I think that, Tasteless, because all you do is you walk up a small ramp in front of your natural, and you have a third base that is held so easily with Psystorm and a few cannons or units, and just having your army there, your opponent can't counterattack your natural. It blocks your natural because you come down a ramp like a fucking sledgehammer, Tasteless, and destroy anything trying to attack behind. So you have this tiny choke and a reasonably large ramp that you defend, but your opponent has to attack uphill. So I feel like 3 gas here is the easiest that I have seen on probably any map for Protoss vs Zerg. Oh my god. And Soulkey's Soulkey agrees, Tasteless. He's doing a crazy cheese here, proxy hatchery. We never see this.
He says, this map is not fair. I'll never win with my 3-hatch Hydra. Let me try this instead. Second hatchery over there. Now, that's really interesting. Because, first of all, Probe, leaving the base here, he's going to see that there's no hatch. The natural. He's going to loop back in. Now, he may think that there's one in the line where his Zealot's coming from. He also might think it's in one of the 2 bottom left bases. But after that, everything else you would see is weird.
Yeah, this is kind of wild. I don't think Bisu is going to be able to scout this. It's too far out of position to really send anything when there's Lings on the map. Tasteless, remember the game we saw here from TY where we're like, wow, that's kind of StarCraft 2 against Jaedong, how he proxied the factory and everything? Don't forget, Soulkey's a StarCraft 2 champion as well, and we see this type of play in StarCraft 2. Like, I almost feel like, oh, Tasteless, do you think it's going to be roaches? Because it's the proxy hatchery against Protoss, so like maybe he just wants to, kill the Zealot in the wall and get rid of the shield batteries. But yeah, this is kind of wild from Soulkey, and maybe he's just going to catch Bisu off guard and get him with this.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not really sure what the function of the hidden hatchery at the top left is. I mean, I guess it can be a launching pad for attacks. I guess you could hide tech there too, but it's not going to be that easy to defend. I think this is in fact a Ling all-in, by the way.
I think so.
Took the drones back off gas, so this is just going to be a Ling powering build. And I guess, okay, so now I see it. So the Lings hatching from this hatchery over here can make for easy surrounds for counterattacks, and obviously to reinforce the big attacks over at the front.
And he has a Overlord up there, so he should have a decent idea about the cannon timing, I think. So he could just run in with these Zerglings and cancel cannons and maybe get the pylon, and the game is almost over at that point. Smart move from Soulkey.
Well, you always get the cannon a little bit later. Okay, so here we go. Yeah, you get the cannon later because you're pressuring with Zealots. So then these Lings come in here. Now the probes are pulled. He goes right for the pylon. Artosis, you nailed this one 100%. Now these things are going to come forward. I think Bisu may just end up dying here, Artosis. This looks so bad for Bisu.
He had to somehow, he had to somehow intuit that this was a proxy hatchery. I think he probably thought that the hatchery was in the bottom left, which would have been a more normal play from Zerg. And he just, he didn't check because bottom left is so far out of position as well. Sending a Zealot down there is like a one-way trip, and like, you know, you have to cut some sorts of corners to keep this pressure on. So that's a rough one for Bisu, because again, that's a good map for Protoss for Zerg, and to just die to like a well-thought-out strategy has to be a bit frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, also, I don't know. You know, it's a very... It's like you got in exactly at the perfect time, stopped the build. We never even got to see what Bisu had to offer there. He was just doing his standard pressure build. We're going to go to Citadel now for map 1, but I'll tell you what, Soulkey came very prepared here today.
Oh, it was perfectly planned. I'm very, very impressed by Soulkey, but, you know, isn't that his MO? He always has good strats planned out. He knows how to take risks, and he knows how to macro.
So in we go, map 2. Soulkey already kind of pulling the rug out from under Bisu back there. You know, you don't have to gateway expand. There are these issues with it. You know, it's very strong and it allows you to be active, but you can see that the Zergs can kind of set up these tricky situations that basically shut the game down before you ever get to let it develop at all.
True.
You know, Forge play, it's a little bit more straightforward. It does also have its limitations in that you're completely reliant on buildings early on, and you also can cannon rush depending.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
No, I remember as well, like 8-15 one season having like a really sick plan where I think he took a game off Mini when Mini was doing a gateway expand with not exactly that, but he had some sort of weird ling timing. I think he got like his hatch early, so he had like a few more lings than Mini was used to and got him. So you're definitely right that there's like a few little risks at play when you go for those gateway expands. By the way, this looks like, I believe that Soulkey just went 9 pool there, and Bisu's scouting him first, so he's going to be able to block this pretty easily.
Oh, hold on. Wait, what?
Yeah, he just went to block the hatch, I think. He's like...
okay. I thought he pulled away from the, I thought he pulled away before he saw the creep, and I'm like, oh god, this is like literally the worst thing that could happen. Okay, so he didn't scout to see if it was gas or not. He's keeping the probe hidden.
Yeah.
Now, he knows from just not seeing a hatchery over there that this is pool first.
Yeah, he's waiting for it to come. It doesn't come, so he's going to go check. One thing to mention, guys, the probe has one more vision than a drone, so if you turn around when you see creep, 100% they did not see you. So you can do little things like that. Like, he was waiting. He could have done something like a cannon rush, who knows. But in this case, he goes back up, he checks again. This is, you know, I feel like Bisu's playing this perfectly. Comes back down, blocks. He can make the cannons that he needs. Do you need to make 1 cannon or 2 cannons against this, by the way?
If it's 6, you want to make 2, I believe.
Okay.
If you have like a really good block, clearly here you don't have a good block. But if you had like a forge and a gateway and like you could maybe hold it with 2 or 3 probes, I think you can try 1. But in this situation, it's a pretty wide berth here at the entrance, so you need to have 2. You can use the probe to like just barely body block. See, Soulkey's basically clicking through it. This is going to be really close. This is going to be so close. Oh my god! Right, so he does get that up. He also let the pylon finish. That's another interesting moment. I'm glad that he went back and showed us that. I almost forgot that had started. But, you know, the Zerg has a choice. Are we going to beeline it to the player's expansion and ignore the pylon, or do we attack the pylon and try to stabilize macro-wise? And Bisu gets a pretty big punish here. Now, losing 100 minerals in a pylon early also kind of sucks, but probably worth it to delay that hatchery. Keep in mind the Nexus has already started. So that third hatch is going to be delayed by at least, what, 121 extra minerals in the bank before it starts.
Yeah. I got to say, I think that Bisu looking very sharp right here. Like you said in that previous game, we didn't really get to see what Bisu's even made of right now in the matchup because he just kind of gets caught off guard, right, by that really big brain strategy from Soulkey. But so far here, it feels like he's like the decision tree that we've seen from him, the ordering of everything looks really, really superb. And it looks like we're just going to get into a normal game. I mean, I guess there's the possibility that Soulkey, because he had the 9 pool, could have gone into something aggressive, whether it be like mass lings or, you know, some sort of Hydra bust. But he's just getting his lair. I expect to see that Spire coming up as well, but probably just a normal macro game from here.
Oh, that, yeah, I mean, everything looks pretty standard. I think we'll probably have the Stargate start up here in a little bit. And will Bisu just go for his, you know, +1 attack Zealots with Corsairs, sometimes +1 there as well? I think he does that more than any other players. I did see the second gas being started, the natural, so maybe it's going to be a little bit more techy. You know, players like Rain and Mini have really been fond of like Corsair into really quick DT, sometimes multiple DTs. But Bisu is sort of the king of the charge lot Corsair with a later DT play.
Yeah, well, he's kind of the one that showed us how to do it, and still does it up to that very top level. You know, we have a few other Protosses now that are really, really good at this matchup, but I think Bisu still maintains, you know, his standing as one of the best ever in PvZ. And I still feel like when I watch his PvZ, it's like sometimes you see a better planned build from Mini or something, but I still feel like Bisu's got it. I still feel like he's the guy. He takes these engagements, and he actually makes... The one thing I've actually really noticed watching a lot of his Protoss for Zergs lately, just for, you know, casting for my YouTube and everything, is I feel like he makes better decisions about when to attack than every other Protoss. Like, he never... You know, sometimes you'll see a Protoss that's really great, and they'll attack into this position and just lose their army. He doesn't do that. He always will be like, no, I can't break that, and pull back until he can, you know?
Yeah, he's very good at keeping a finger on the pulse of exactly where the Zerg's at.
Yeah.
And knows exactly, like, he seems to fundamentally just understand from a macro perspective. Like, when I say macro perspective, I mean, like, them macroing and trying to grow. He seems to know where they're at and when they can be punished in a very different way. By the way, Corsair comes in here, spots the Spire, is immediately going to turn around. These two Zealots were well hidden enough that they can, you know, come out here and start to hit these drones. They went all the way around the Lings. This is one of the smart things Bisu does, where he hides the workers, hides the Zealots, and when the Zerg thinks it's okay, we'll then send them in here and just try to get some kills. And look, this is a lot of lost income here.
But the mutas are like making a beeline, aren't they? Like, he's decided, screw it, we're going across the map. Maybe he's not ready for this, which means the Zealots will be a bit harder to deal with. But I think, like, Bisu's got 3 Corsairs. He's got okay cannon coverage. He has cannons going up in his mineral lines. I think he'll be all right here.
He should be okay, but you got to be careful, because if you lose those Corsairs, you're in a lot of trouble. I love the Zealots just going out in different directions. This one's going to die, but there's one over here at the third base. It's going to be doing a lot of damage, denying all the mining over here. We're going to see the Mutas and the Scourge come in here. Is there actually enough to cover this? I see a second cannon warping in. I think he's got 4 Corsairs total.
This looks just so masterful by Bisu. It really, really does. This is a beautifully played game. Whoa, double Hydralisk.
Whoa.
Like, is Soulkey going to fall? No, I think that's actually purposeful. I think what he's doing right now is he's saying, okay, everything's kind of not going super well. He opened with 9 pool. The Lings haven't done anything. You know, his Muta Scourge hasn't done anything. I think he's just going to go, like, very delayed 3-hatch Hydra all in, since all the money's being spent on anti-Muta cannons and Corsairs right now.
He didn't make more than 5 Mutalisks, so this might be another, like, just crazy big brain play from him, where he realizes that he can get both Hydra speed and Hydra range done. A lot of times when you're fighting Mutas and Scourge, first of all, it can be kind of hard to, like, count how many Mutas are actually there. Some Protoss players will just make 2 Templars and an Archon in the middle of that, and then you can end up getting overrun by Hydras.
Well, right now, a lot of Hydras are coming. He only has 2 cannons at the front, and that's not enough to hold. Like, 3 Zealots, 1 Dragoon, 2 cannons, that will not hold against the amount of Hydra Link coming over here. Soulkey may just pick up a victory despite how well Bisu's playing.
Yeah, well, he's basically planned this out
Oh
so
my God.
perfectly that. Oh no. The Hydras are out here. I mean, we see cannons starting. The thing is, you really want those Zealots and Dragoons back there to kind of run interference for the cannons. Now he's going to come in here and hit this. This is insane. Oh my God! All the mutas
right
go down.
there. Yeah.
Wait.
Oh, he
Where's
has
the
a
Overlord?
DT. He has a DT. Does he hold?
Wait, is there an Overlord?
No,
Well,
there's
I mean,
no Overlord.
There's just so many workers being killed. Yeah, but I mean, a lot of probes dying here.
But can he fly across the map and
Overlord's
kill?
way back there.
Could he kill all the Overlords right now, Tastosis? Like go over a supply block?
I don't know.
Clear things with DTs. Look at this. He kills the one Overlord that's on its way. Like the cannons that he had for for the mutas are slowing down the Hydra a little bit, and the DT's trying to clear everything out. I feel like he does need to make like 4 cannons at his front right now, though. I'm really nervous about when an Overlord gets up here.
Okay, so we have 3 DTs here. We've got 2 Overlords coming up. He's going to go for this one in the front. Oh my God!
Oh,
Tastosis,
man.
Overlord speed's done. Overlord speed's done. He needs to actually get this other Overlord. Oh, I think it might just be at Overlord. What, 67 HP? There's just enough Corsairs that. Yeah, I think Bisu's going to have to win this PVT, man.
I think you're right. GG.
GG. Dude,
wow.
He planned this out so perfectly. And it's almost like it doesn't matter what Bisu thinks he knows about the game.
Yeah. That was actually a couple of the most impressive games because this had nothing to do with micro, with macro, with mechanical skill. Both victories for Soulkey were 100% planned in his mind before the match. That's it. It was literally just planning.
It was like strategically from start to finish. He just like knew what the builds his opponent were going to do, and he planned it out perfectly. I can't believe it. Completely worthy of the round of 8. Dude, he might win another ASL. This is wild.
Yeah. He
looks
showed
so good.
He showed a normal macro Zerg versus Terran, and then he showed 2 strats on different maps that just completely caught Bisu off guard. Unbelievable from Soulkey. He looks scary as hell.
Yeah. So here's where the Hydras came up here. So the double, yeah, there it is. So it's both range and Hydra speed. So clearly not a mistake. He basically gets 4 Scourge and 5 Mutas, which is like just enough to telegraph Ogre Zerg Gamer, mass Muta Scourge, like I'm trying to all-in you from the air. And then he flips it on its head. Here he comes with a bunch of Lings and Hydras, and suddenly you just don't have enough cannons at the entrance. Especially if you poke out trying to figure out what's going on with the Zealots and Dragoons. And so he does that. The DTs made it a little bit interesting, right? Because it looked like for a second he might be able to hang on. But at the end of the day, there's just too many Overlords beelining up to this position. One of them finally gets there to actually hold this, and that's when we see our Protoss player die.
This was so well planned. He had 2 Overlords at the bottom where you would never check with your Corsairs. You'd always check in the line to your opponent's space because that's where the Overlords would come from. But the fact that he literally had 2, if he only has 1 here, Bisu actually holds. But he had 2.
Right.
Like everything about this was one of the best planned games. This reminds me of that game on Eclipse mini played where we lost our minds, where he ran around every Overlord and just killed his opponent. I can't even remember who he was against, but that was previously the best planned game I had ever seen. This might now be it.
Yeah, this is so sick, man. This almost looks like a StarCraft game from like 10 years like into the future.
Yeah.
Where it's like that's how good people are now. I think Bisu looked pretty strong. He did get in there and kill some drones with those Zealots, but how would you know it's going to be 2 Hydra with both range and speed? You need everything you've got available to try to maybe barely hold that off, but when those Zealots were killed at the entrance, it was rough.
You're watching Group A of the round of 16 of ASL 17 with Well New Life Prestige Gaming Chairs, as we have our first player to advance to the round of 8 this season and defending champion Soulkey. Congratulations. Thank you. You're advancing today having stormed through the group with no losses to stain your record. As you stamp your name in the round of 8, once more, you must be prepared for the longer series. You are on top of your game as you've shown great games today. Everything going according to plan. How did things go?
다전제를 너무 많이 하다 보니까 제가 좀 뭔가
I've played a lot of longer series, so
평범하게 하기가 싫더라고요.
I realized I didn't want to take today lightly. I prepared well, and even though it was sort of hit or miss,
다행인 것 같아요.
things just fell into place, I guess, thankfully. You would go with the flow, you said, but you didn't really miss anything today. Now in the game against Mong, scouting quickly with your Zerglings, you then confirmed the quick eBay, you realized there's no aggression coming, so you snowballed very quickly. How did you prepare for that game? In practice, Light told me Mong would likely play an eBay first, so I should prepare for that. We first thought it would be an Expo, so I should prepare for quick eBay. I guess I prepared comfortably. Oh, you were expecting eBay first, that's why you pulled away with 4 hatcheries. In the winners match against Bisu on the first map, you went for a proxy hatchery quickly at the 11 o'clock. Were you certain that this was a location that wouldn't get scouted? In practice, I realized, well, if he scouts it, then I've lost. I figured that if links start flowing out of my main, the Zealot would start running away. So that seemed to work. Finding a chink in his armor, you then followed up by trying a 9-pull in game 2. You tried a Hydro Rush timing there. First you opened with Mutalisks to block the coursers from scouting, then put down 2 Hydra Dens to start your rush. How did you prepare for that one? It's something I would play a bunch normally. First faking a Mutalisk all-in, and then actually doing a Hydra all-in. I think I got lucky there, to be honest. And in general today, things just worked well. Bisu, seeing your first Hydralisk, got his Dark Templar out just in the nick of time to defend. Still, you tried again. Did you feel you were in trouble at all? Yeah, the Dark Templar came out quicker than expected. Is he going to stop it, I thought? Well, thankfully the Corsairs went someplace else, so it worked. Luck was on my side. Seeing how comfortably you played today, whoever is going to meet you in the round of 8 will surely feel how threatening you are. You must have gained a ton of confidence as well. Is that so? Winning games offline gives you a confidence boost and things just get interesting, the games themselves. So I'm confident going into the round of 8. The laid back Iron Wall that is Soulkey is something that a lot of fans are expecting to see this season again. And you must surely have had a lot of people help you practice. Yeah, I'd like to thank Light, Best and Mini for helping you prepare. To be honest, the round of 16 is not something that I was comfortable with. I'm sure my fans must have been uneasy too, so thankfully I advanced. I will prepare even harder for the round of 8 and we'll have a good showing. Once more, congratulations on advancing to the quarterfinals and thank you for the interview. Thank you. And that does it for our interview. With the first player through to the round of 8, let's now take a look at the special events we have prepared for our fans. You can participate in a match prediction event on the AfreecaTV website with a power bank up for grabs for 2 people who correctly predict the quarterfinalists. And additionally, we have a special deal on Well New Life gaming chairs purchased for 30% off through the mobile app or the online chat. The promotion lasts until the end of ASL 17. Now Mong and JYJ are about to face off in the losers match. We'll see which one of them joins Bisu, already awaiting in the elimination bout. We'll be back with a losers game in a few.
불 좀 켜줄래? 내 의자 좀 보게. 오늘 내 기분 컬러로 말할게. 이 의자, 내 아름다움이 다 담아질까? 하루만 네 의자에 메쉬가 되고 싶어. 알고 싶어. 너의 특별 할인가. 만들어봐. 네 의자에 꿀자세.
Don't know how I can explain. 하루 종일 네 생각에 간절해 낯설어. 나 왜 이런 걸까? You're the cure to all my pains. 널 좋아하나 봐. 널 사랑하나 봐. 이제는 더 이상은 숨길 수 없잖아. 내일 더 아껴줄 거야.
Welcome back, everyone. It's TVT time in here. And I don't know about you, Artosis, but I'm looking at these two, and I really feel like this should be somewhat one-sided. I think JYJ should be able to take Mong out. What do you think?
Yeah, I think JYJ certainly is a better overall player, but if Mong has a clean opening, he is very, very dangerous just because his macro is top tier. That's the thing about Mong. That's like why we see him in ASL, but we don't see him get super far in ASL. He's not like really a complete player, but if you had to rank people in their macro when you're looking specifically at factories, he is at the top. Like he's like light level at making units out of factories. So he can field a gigantic army. He's extremely good at that management. So yeah, I think there is a possibility for an upset, but I definitely do side with you. I think JYJ is just a stronger player overall.
We're going to be going to Neo Dark Origin for map number 1, Blitz Y for map number 3, and if we're lucky enough to get a third game here, it's going to end on Radeon.
Okay, these maps are going to make it a little bit wild. All three of these maps are played completely differently in Terran versus Terran. So that's kind of exciting, and we'll see what types of builds that they bring. I'm especially excited for Blitz Y, because Blitz Y is like almost solved TVT right now. Yeah, should be a fun one. Neo Dark Origin, I think this is the one where you might need to be a little bit fancy, because contains, especially TVT, incredibly strong.
Oh, yeah, the contain heavy map in the contain heavy matchup. Like, I mean, this should be interesting. I think the mid game is going to be so important going into this to figure out how you get control of this. Anyways, guys, we're ready to start this. Remember, the loser's out of the ASL, and the winner will fight Bisu in the very next best of 3. Okay, Mong here in the north and JYJ in the south.
Yeah.
I don't think we're... Go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, okay. Yeah, like Dark Origin, you were alluding to it. Like it's a map where containment is really, really good because of those 3 bridges being so small. And Terran versus Terran is definitely the matchup where containments are the strongest because you can't really attack into tank lines. It's just the person who's sieged gets so much of an advantage. So it's basically just a battle for map dominance. If you get control of the center, you deny the fourth and you deny the bridges. And from there, it becomes 100% predictable. Your opponent literally can't break out on ground. So either has to do like a Wraith switch, which sucks because you know it's coming, or dropships, which sucks because you know it's coming. So this should just be a battle on 2 bases to control the center. I expect to see, you could open either Wraith or Vulture. I think the Vulture openers are going to be better. Like a 3 factory Vulture is probably going to be best. We might even see 4 or 5. And just like purely putting yourself into controlling those bridges.
Yeah, it's very unlikely you're going to have the map fully split in half. The 4th bases are usually on this map and in most matchups taken on either the left side or the right side. Basically, the player in the top left tends to expand almost straight down in a line to the left side.
Yeah.
And the player on the right tends to expand straight up on the right side. That's not always the case in TVT, but it's a general trend you see. And so it's going to be interesting to see what Mong tries to do to get a leg up. I do think he's still a solid TVT player, but I think JYJ has really shown himself to be like just overall very strategically sound and able to kind of come out a couple steps ahead with just build orders and openings and never overextending.
Yeah, he is very good in TVT. If I'm recalling correctly, he beat like Rush in his finals TVT, right? Like 4-2, I want to say. So that's like a pretty solid thing because I would place Rush as probably the 2nd best Terran in the world next to Light. So, he definitely knows what he's doing. I do like that they're doing like exactly kind of what they quote unquote should do here. If you were to go for like a gasless expand, it's a 2-player map. The odds of a forward barracks are pretty high, and they both know that. So they've both made their barracks in their main base and are just going factory expansion, which is like, yeah, you should take it like kind of carefully here at the beginning and just work towards that containment because as soon as you have that, the game simplifies so quickly.
So we've got the SCV here for Mong scouting JYJ. He sees that there's just 1 SCV in the gas right now. I think the Marine can box us in if he does this correctly, as long as you're on top of this. No, I guess not. I always forget how short Marine range really is compared to how many HP, how much HP is on an SCV. But that SCV is going to be chased back out, and with both sides not really doing anything too dramatic, we're going to see JYJ and Mong both expand.
And they're both going to get their SCVs out of there just in the nick of time. Both going to make a Vulture. We'll see how many Vultures they actually end up making here because there is this funny little thing. Like, if you're both trying to go Vulture, if someone slips in a Siege tank, it's really, really strong. That actually became meta for a little bit where you just try to slip that Siege tank in. And if one side is sitting there making Vultures nonstop, like, see, notice how there's no add-on for Mong. He's going to make more Vultures before the add-on. JYJ, he might start a tank. So if Mong attacks at 3 Vultures, there's a possibility he gets a huge amount of damage.
You don't have that 2nd factory yet. Just now going to start, it looks like. But back over here, for Mong, he's got more of those Vultures out. Loop back around over to this side. I don't think anybody can attack into each other for a little bit. Vultures are still being made here by Mong.
Yeah.
Do you want to throw a bunker up here as JYJ?
No, I think he's going 1 tank Vulture. Like, I think we'll probably see him throw down a 3rd factory here now. And if he gets that 1 siege tank out, he'll have a bit of an edge, whereas Mong is in some ways playing a bit more safe. He actually made 3 Vultures. Yeah, see, he popped a tank already, and here's going to be his 3rd factory. And we'll see if he makes another tank. Some people try to go for 2. So Mong actually played a more careful game, but that means that JYJ is ahead. If Mong had sent out his first 2 Vultures, he would have been able to kill his opponent's Vulture, kill the Marine, kill a couple SCVs maybe and would have had an edge. But here, this is like, for this type of situation, this is best case scenario for JYJ.
So I used to see Terrans do this from time to time, but is this still a thing where you, like, if you see they've expanded, you'll just, like, try to land in the mineral line or somewhere to just mess up the workers?
Yeah, no, not really. We don't see the only time you land the barracks is if there is some sort of choke that you can create, so the factory units can't really join the front units, and then you attack with your vultures, and you have more vultures, so you win. But we don't really see the barracks landed other than that now. You want to keep this alive. It's actually really important to get it away from this Marine. In fact, some people sacrifice a vulture to try to kill their opponent's Marines so you can float this around longer.
Yeah, it's a smart move. We've got movement now on the map here. Now remember, the tank greatly helps in the vulture fight. The tank is almost like the hero unit in Warcraft 3 or something. It just needs like a Tauren like floor smash or something to hit all the vultures around it. But it's really good. You want to lead with it. A lot of times your most powerful unit, you try to like be ready to kite and pull it away, but the vultures do such little damage to the tank that you can kind of just use it to soak and then repair it later on. Now, Mong's vultures have gone around. So JYJ is just going to come right in here, and like I think he might just be able to overpower this position. This is kind of crazy.
Well,
he's going to see that there's nothing up here.
You're definitely flanking here as Mong. That's the idea. But JYJ has a pretty decent position. You have to pull everything right now as Mong. See, he's not hitting the flank on time. If you hit everything coming in, see, JYJ just rotates down, catches them coming back. Huge advantage for JYJ. Like, really outplaying Mong here.
This tank, okay, he's going to surround it with the SCVs, but now it's just all these SCVs versus these vultures.
Yeah, that's game over,
One
man.
tank alone here, yeah, that's not going to cut it. The vulture count is too high, and you can see eventually, especially with the mines here, you can surround this and actually take a fight really nicely. The second tank comes out, that does a ton of damage. Mong hurting a lot. I don't know exactly where he is as far as workers go, but supplies overall is 44 to 56.
That was actually a very poor execution from JYJ. He could have gotten critical damage there. Laying the mines didn't make sense. He had so many vultures. He could have either focus fired the units or focus fired the SCVs. Either one would have done way more than he did. He just he laid 2 mines and let the vultures attack what they wanted. So that was actually a big mistake and may allow Mong to actually start to come back into this game. JYJ definitely still ahead. He has the 4 facts. He has mines out. So, Mong has an uphill battle, but that was not great execution. That's a position where, like, if you have light, 100% the game is over.
Yeah, I think so. No, he just did not quite engage properly. I think he should have dove a little bit harder on the tank, not try to kill it off with the mine, but maybe just kept spamming damage out there. I think mines can come later on. I think it can be misleading to people that don't really know TVT that well, but like you do lose a little bit of time when you plant the mines.
Oh yeah,
like, if you watch,
it's a huge difference.
If you watch if you watch a TVP, it's like the Dragoons have to back away, and Zealots, they have to figure out what their role is in that fight. But TVT sometimes, especially in a vulture arms race, it can be just better to just try to get the target in there now, try to snowball the fights with your vultures, and if you can after that, start to litter that area with mines.
We sometimes talk about it becoming a game of math, and that's that type of situation where it's like, oh, you have that many more vultures, just focus fire things, and you keep that mathematical advantage. But now you can see Mong is pushing over the bridge, and we're going to have a war here. And JYJ, he has like maybe a slightly better position, but the fact that Mong is getting over here and sieging, this is where it actually can turn into a big, long game.
Yeah, well, it seems like because Mong has actually crossed the bridge, now he's in a position where he can get units trafficked across his side of the map, no problem. JYJ may have a window of time to try to engage and come in here and shut this down, but that's going to be closing pretty quickly. We've also got the 3rd command center for both sides starting. I don't think either of these CCs are going to be denied anytime soon.
Yeah, they're going to set up a huge no man's land in the center. And where it goes from there, it's kind of tricky because it's like, okay, do you want to take your 4th base and set up siege tanks there and just have kind of a diagonal siege line? That might end up being it. But one thing to mention is anytime you have a map that is squished like this horizontally is not that far, like it doesn't take many siege tanks to completely cut this map in half. And if we get into that, if these
that's
guys,
a good point.
yeah, if we get up around 150 supply after they lose their vultures, the map will be shut down. It'll be locked down. That'll be it. And from there, you have to think like, okay, how do I want to try to be either cost efficient or break my opponent? And like, this is a map where you could end up on battle cruisers, but there's a lot of play before then right now.
So the 2 vultures are going to drop down here. I don't think they're going to get anything more than 1 worker, as the rest of these vultures can come back in here and try to fight this. I'm going to be a little bit shocked if JYJ actually just commits to this. Does he have some movement happening somewhere else in the map where this would be justifiable? I feel like he saw this coming a million miles away.
He definitely did. I think it was more of a scouting thing than really anything. It's okay to lose your first dropship, but yeah, if you pair that up with like attacking a location, generally it's a bit better. But like, I don't mind it. Like, I don't mind him losing this dropship and getting it in here and just seeing what's what. He sees the factory count. He sees what's coming out of factories. You know, you can check on things like upgrades, timing of the 3rd command center. So it's, you know, the thing is in Terran versus Terran, like, the supplies can be this different and you can't kill each other. You know? It's like, it matters how many siege tanks you have.
Defender's advantage is just too good.
Yeah. Well, not in this case when it's just 4 siege tanks, that's for sure.
Yeah, this is the best example of that, but imagine there were vultures to get in the way of that.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is, with these vultures, you can use them to tank the siege tank shots, and then you can siege up your own tanks, do a pretty good position here. JYJ not, I think wisely so, just spamming out mines in some of these fights. Trades out very nicely, making sure his tanks are targeting the opposing tanks. Some of the siege line falls back, but Mong's position has pretty greatly been softened.
Yeah, you know, a lot of the vultures got eaten up there, and, you know, that's why we see the supplies like a little bit lower, but it really just has to do with siege tanks. JYJ has more of the center, which is huge. Look at this. He's going to have one of the bridges under control, and he's making a bit of an arc around Mong, which means if he just keeps rallying to the center, eventually he might be able to break this. Mong needs to send every siege tank he has here and just siege them in a line. Like, you can't be screwing around here. You have to have enough units that he can't fully control the bridges.
Keep in mind, well, we kind of mentioned this earlier with the 2 bases in the middle of the map. If you control the center of the map, 4th base, which, like in this case, like for Mong, it would be south of where the 3rd base is, you can shell that from the low ground.
Yes, yes.
It's brutal. Top right base, which, you know, I think if you're not familiar with the map, you might look at that and say, well, can't they just go there? Not an easy base to take. So a lot of this stuff is settled before the 4th base can, I guess, whether or not it can actually get off the ground.
You can see that Mong is pushing really hard to try to guard from that low ground sieging that you were talking about there. But JYJ immediately rotates over and is going to blow up those 2 tanks. Mong is being a bit too wasteful with these tanks. He's lost a lot more tanks than JYJ so far. Also, we had just caught a glimpse of JYJ's main. You can see he's added a ton of factories. He's going to work really hard to just take complete control of the center. Even if it's a little bit cost inefficient, if he holds either the bridges or below the 4th or both, your advantage just grows and grows and grows.
Well, the Wraiths are out now. And he could definitely get some damage done over here. He's going to wrap all the way around. JYJ comfortably taking this 4th base of his. These vultures come up here. They will be able to kill off that SCV. That can be replaced pretty quickly. You know, ideally, you'd want to have that element of surprise there with some of those Wraiths. But, yeah, I mean, look, Mong has to get a base up. If we get like 5 more minutes into this game and there's not a 3rd base up and comfortable, where Mong can soak up those resources, I think long-term it's just going to be an easy win here for JYJ.
Yeah, the fact that he has this many cloaked Wraiths right now, it's like you're forcing your opponent to have detection, to have Goliaths, to have siege tanks. It's very tough, and Mong is trying to do something with dropships right now. If he just catches those with the Wraiths, yeah, Mong's game is falling apart right now.
Yeah. These dropships could be pretty big. I guess the Wraiths missed them entirely, and so they're going to loop all the way down here and probably hit into the natural. I guess they could drop into the main as well. So right now, with JYJ seeing everything that he sees, because he's got spotters on every base, he knows he's ahead. He knows he has to just keep this going for the next couple minutes, and Mong should be in a position where he can't recover. I don't agree with this push with the tanks, though.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Mong gets his drop-off. Unfortunately, the tanks are going to shut this down immediately. I mean, the Wraiths are going to shut this down immediately. And yeah, he's just things definitely are JYJ favored. Look at this. He is pushing a little bit too hard on this side. That's what it kind of feels like, right? Like Mong is bringing a ton of units. He killed those 2 tanks that moved up. Maybe JYJ makes that cost inefficient for Mong, which would be nice.
Kind of surprising to see Mong send the tanks and the vultures all the way around. I thought there would maybe be a couple of Goliaths in there because he saw the Wraiths earlier. You know, and once you see the Wraiths, you go, okay, well, I'm going to lose all my dropships and everything else if I don't have some kind of anti-air, which he didn't have. And, you know, when it comes to anti-air and TVT, like 2 Goliaths does a lot against a bunch of Wraiths.
Yeah. The Goliaths, like, very quickly overpower Wraiths. Now, JYJ is just bringing a ton of army up. Mong has enough. He's not going to lose his bridges here. But JYJ has additional bases up in mining, right? It's 3 base against 4 right now. Well, kind of 4 because he has a command center so far away because of 1 mine, which is always funny to see something like that. But JYJ is taking top right. Yeah, Mong is like kind of pushing back the center, but he needs to do more. He needs to push over to the right side. Or he needs to push directly south and expand himself. Either one.
Yeah, but we have more tanks and vultures coming out here. Again, there's nothing to deal with these Wraiths right now, and so these tanks are just going to keep suffering so much damage. Mong is able to break this down, at least the tank line, but this is such a big loss. I guess the vultures can come in here now and start to kill these SCVs.
Dude, if he had
this
3
is it.
Goliaths,
I mean,
this game would look. Yeah, sorry. If he had 3 Goliaths, this game would look a lot different right now. But the Wraiths are crushing. They are crushing right now. The amount of tanks that they're picking off, it's amazing. And you know, Mong actually, like, he killed a lot of SCVs there, didn't he? And now rotating to the third, he's going to kill a lot down here. Mong still has a bit of fight in this game.
He does. He's actually up in supply right now, I think, because he killed so many workers over there. The biggest fear I have for Mong right now is he just has not really had an answer for these Wraiths. I guess we see the Goliaths coming up now, but, like, how many tanks exactly were killed back there? Not traded out, but just wiped out there by the Wraiths.
It's a lot. The Wraiths have done so much heavy lifting in this game. Clearing the drop that he did, killing the dropships he had, killing siege tanks, scouting, right? Just forcing Goliaths in and of itself is a powerful thing Wraiths do. This is hilarious seeing that command center continue to be so far off position, by the way. Like, this is how taxed these guys are right now. Like, you don't even care as Terran. You're like, whatever, I have enough. But Mong going to try to move forward once again. He has a ton of vultures in here to try to tank. Can he break this position?
He might be able to. I mean, having some vultures of your own to get in the way, but look at this drop, Artosis. This is huge.
Yeah, it looks like Mong, though, is going to break this. The drop is pretty good, but it's only 4 dropships, so it is something you can clear. It'll take a minute, but you will be able to clear this, and he's going to kill some bases of JYJ.
This is pretty wild. JYJ now just sitting this, you know, keep in mind, Mong is on 3 bases. The Natural's not mining. The third base is not mining. Mong's money's literally not moving. It's at 95 minerals right now.
Oh my God, you're right.
He's literally not making
he's actually
any
not
money
mining.
at all.
You're right. Oh my God,
Yeah.
because he's killing both these bases, so I'm looking at him like, wow, actually Mong could win this game, but yeah, no, if you're not mining, you're not making any more units, that's pretty bad. 3 more dropships from JYJ come in. They drop on Sarapathes. I think JYJ is going to end up winning based on these drops hitting the main. But I got to say, like, this was some good comeback stuff here from Mong, right? Like, he did a good job considering how tough the opening was for him on fighting back, but I don't know that it's going to end up being enough.
This is such a loss of income here. It's crazy, though, how much Mong beat down all the bases that JYJ had, but JYJ fought back in such a way where, like, he literally just didn't have an income for a little bit. Mong didn't. Yeah. Now we have, you know, this next push coming in here, and I just don't know if Mong's going to be able to play catch-up from here.
Yeah, like, he's got to get that mining back up. He does. I don't think he has that many SCVs. And look at this, JYJ getting really, really efficient. A lot of Goliaths being taken down. Just really hard to make those trade right. And JYJ can retake that 4th base now. Maybe float that command center down to it. Don't go for the 5th. Just kind of take your 4th, take your better income, and make this game work for you.
Now, if JYJ wanted to, he could finally put that command center that's floating into a proper place at the 4th base, as that mine has finally been wiped out over there.
Well, laying a few mines, just trying to slow JYJ down at the moment, making him utilize a few more scans and whatnot. You're rubbing 2 nickels together, make a quarter here as Mong, and it's just such a tough position. And JYJ gonna decide, okay, the command center's already up here. He takes that location. He's got to contain on the bridge.
Does he want? Should he try to destroy that building that blocks that area with the siege tanks? Because it's a bunch of buildings stacked on top of each other up at 12 o'clock, and then try to just like roll into the main.
I don't think so. I think you just let Mong like kill himself here, because like Mong is behind without a doubt after losing that much mining time, and like you can see, yeah, he's just crushes the push as it comes out. No sense in trying to kill all his buildings. Let him realize his position's terrible, then lose his units. So that was kind of a wild game. That kind of reminds me of the JYJ Bisu game, where it could have been better done and it got insane and became a really good game. But you know, both of them showing that they do have some kinks in their armor that could be abused.
Yeah, absolutely. JYJ looking very, very strong. It's funny, it's right when we got into that mid-game position. Who can control the map? And how does the game pan out from there? It's so punishing in TVT on that map.
Yeah.
And isn't Blitz Y the next map? Or did I make that up?
Blitz Y is the next map.
Okay, so that's another one. It's a little weird.
Blitz Y might be the simplest Terran versus Terran map. It's even more simple than Dark Origin. I'll get into it when the game loads up. But right now, JYJ advantaged. This is, well, let's see. We're going to go.
Silence, Tastosis. The game is starting. Okay, so it's Mong up here at the top, JYJ in the bottom. Again, rematch of the positions, Tastosis.
Yeah, that's nice. I like when that happens. Okay, Blitz Y. This map, so your 3rd base, right? If you have like 2 to 3 tanks sieged, nothing can come through the center. So basically what happens here is, whatever, the early game scuffles that you always have in a Terran versus Terran. Then you have a few tanks sieged there, and then you just have to rally everything to the left side. And it just becomes a battle about how far up the left side you can get. Because the 9 o'clock base has a gas. So if you get a siege line that holds that, you're advantaged. Now, as soon as the left side gets solved, because it doesn't take long, if you look at the amount of ground on the left-hand side between the wall of 9 o'clock and the wall of that ramped area, it's not very long. So it doesn't take that many tanks. It doesn't take that long to kind of resolve that. And from there, it just goes dropship. Because you have those low ground bases, you have the big wide open main. But this map cuts in half faster than any other map that I can ever remember. It's kind of like Destination like that. If you recall Destination, where it's like, yeah, you siege tanks in 3 locations and the map can't be passed TVT. And so
funny you bring that map up. So sorry, go ahead. Please.
Yeah, but that's kind of what this map is. It solves itself so quickly. Little scuffle, take your 3rd, battle for the left, and after that, it's like drop ships and like making missile turrets, and it turtles up. This is the most likely map to see battle cruisers on. Like so far, the Terran versus Terrans that we've seen here, someone has screwed up on the left side and died, or screwed up against dropships and died. But if you have 2 players that kind of evenly take the left, and then they make missile turrets and have dropships and don't suicide anything, it should turn into battle cruisers. I don't know if that will happen here, but like what I just described, maybe it sounds like a lot, but I could like write it down in 3 bullet points for people, and like this is exactly how you play Blitz Y.
Oh yeah, no, I think you're spot on that. That it's very easy for the map to get cut in half, and once that happens and nobody can really make any headway, then you get that battlecruiser tech coming in there. So it's funny you were bringing up Destination earlier, because like That is like the map I played on in college, like just before I moved to Korea. I think when you moved to Korea, like just shortly after I got there, Destination was getting moved out of the map pool. But I remember thinking that was like the greatest map at the time.
Oh yeah.
And I look back and it's so bad compared to like what they have now. It's insane. Like there's probably stuff we're looking at on these maps that is just so egregious and bad compared to what we're gonna get in 5 or 10 years.
You're probably
right now. It just feels like it's peak StarCraft, you know?
Yeah, I remember that too. Destination. A lot of people were under the opinion that was the best map ever made at that point. And it's literally unplayable now. Like, people know how to abuse that so hard. It is, if you were to put that in the map pool, everyone would veto it of every race because it's terrible. It's wild that much can change in the game, but it is the case.
They had these really novel ideas on it. But yeah, kind of stupidly designed, and also you don't even have a proper entrance at your natural. And you have these bridges you got to get across to get out. Like, it's insane. But yeah, you're right. This is, I think, literally the exact same size as Destination.
Yeah.
Which did always make for crazy long games, TVT especially.
Yeah, and the fact that there's only 2 paths across the map on ground, and one of them is so small that 3 units can hold it against a maxed army. It's, there's more movement in a lot of ways on Dark Origin that we just saw. But this one is not one where you can, like, force a contain easily, because it is still very wide on the left side. But it's just like you can siege, and if you have 55% of the map, you have a big advantage because of that 9 o'clock base. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this. We have Mong going into 3 factory Vulture right away. Right now, JYJ is on 2 factory and no add-ons. I think he's probably going to add an armory from here, but he might go 3 fact still. That's been kind of popular lately, to stay without add-ons for a little bit and go into the 3rd fact afterwards. And yeah, that is going to be what he's doing. So he's going to have like 1 more Vulture, but it's behind, so he's not going to be able to really put that pressure on. He's trying. Yeah, Mong. Oh, Mong actually... Little bit of miscontrol there. You could see his SCVs were blocking the 3rd Vulture from firing while he was repairing. So JYJ does get one. But no, I mean, this is just the early game scuffles I was talking about before, where it's like, okay, I mean, maybe one of you gets a slight edge, but it's rare at top levels for this to do massive damage.
Yeah, the funny thing with Vultures is, like, once you get in, you kind of can't get out. It's a little bit like the issue that you have in Zerg versus Zerg, where once the mutas engage, if you control right, their mutas, they can never leave. You can basically moving shots, stay on top of them, and kill them. Same thing is true for the Vultures. So when you're pushing across the map versus their Vultures, you got to be really careful, because once you've committed, there's really no way that you can get out of it unless your opponent makes a mistake. And obviously, you can never... play the game, just hoping your opponent makes a mistake, right? So
yeah,
we saw a bit of an overextension there earlier.
Moving shot is super strong. We might actually see the barracks land. It's possible here. It's not perfect, but he's got speed first. And no, he's not going to. Okay, the Vulture count is close enough. You have to be careful about that. But if you do get 1 to 2 Vultures up, it can be really strong. Now a tank coming across from Mong. That better be a tank for JYJ. If he's not popping a tank right now, he could be in some trouble.
We see that tank coming out here now. There's the tank from JYJ.
Yeah,
you see an add-on thrown down there. You got to think a tank should be coming here.
There is a possibility that Mong just holds this high ground and goes siege. Like, you don't have to go mines
Which I think is fine.
Yeah, that'd be a good move.
If he can get some mines planted over at the bottom left, I mean, what are you going to do for a 3rd base?
And look, JYJ just left with his Vultures. This is kind of a mirror of what we saw in the last game, where Mong moved out with his Vultures. Now, Mong comes in with his Vultures knowing these are out there, and he's got way more right here. This is a huge, huge moment. He's picking off a lot. His siege tank is coming over quicker as well. Mong getting quite a nice advantage here in the early game.
Big shutdown there, really thinning that Vulture count out. Now we have a tank up here on the high ground, but I think this could get hit pretty hard here as well. I mean, how many Vultures do you need to overtake this? This is so many. Yeah, and again,
just
now
target.
the other Vultures can't leave.
That's
perfectly.
It.
And look at this. I love how he surrounds the tank, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you can basically body block it in there. That's going to be a GG.
I got to say, I find it surprising some of the moves these guys are making, where like there's a barracks watching your army, and so you move your vultures way out of position. Like the barracks sees this. It sees this, and like when your vultures are that far away, like Mong just immediately killed him for doing it. It's like kind of a basic thing. So I'm surprised that that's how JYJ did that. I really am.
It was a little weird looking, wasn't it?
Yes.
You know, we saw the skirmish happen. I mean, you know, I don't oftentimes give great insight into TVT, but I was right about, you know, the fact that vultures can't escape once they engage. So if they overextend, it usually comes into a full-on shutdown. But yeah, it was weird to see JYJ then just do that. Like, he had the intel. So Mong takes the game. Mong, you know, I think he played well. It wasn't any real stroke of genius that he did it. I think JYJ was frankly just reckless. But now it's tied 1-1, and we're going to go to Radeon here for map number 3. Okay, Mong here in the top left. And then cross spawns down in the bottom right is JYJ.
Oh, that's so comfortable that we just got to keep them on those sides, so we don't even have to think about it.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, Radeon, cross spawn. This could be a big game. It's a big, wide open map in the center. Really hard to say what these guys are going to end up opening with. We're finally on a 4-player map, so they could do something like, you know, take that fast expansion. And
so cool to see studio filling up here, by the way. You know, as ASL, every week it's on. You know, there's more and more people coming down there. I was just at the GSL studio last week, and it's packed, man. It's so fun to see. I don't know. I know the pandemic was a while ago, but we did so many casts in empty studios alone, and it was so weird.
Yeah,
I'm so happy to just see people together again.
There's always a better feel when people are there. That's kind of, you know, the land feel. That's literally why I still play StarCraft 25 years later, is the feeling you get playing a highly competitive game around other people as opposed to just sitting in your mom's attic. You know, it's a great feeling. It's exciting. It's cool. It's yeah, real cool Artosis nerd. I get a wedgie over the internet, but really, you know, it's just there's something about it, and having all these people.
I forgot that you live. Sorry, go ahead. I'll jump in later. It's when you said, because I forgot you did live in your mom's attic, because I also lived in my mom's attic with my brother. I'm like, Artosis, I feel attacked. My mom's attic was not that bad.
Yeah, no, that's the funny thing about us is we actually have exactly the same childhood. 100%. It's kind of crazy. I think that's why we get along in these casts so well. We watched all the same cartoons. We both lived in attics. We both had brothers that were more talented than us at video games. Like, luckily, mine didn't play StarCraft, so that was good.
Oh, thank God for that. Yeah, so funny, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean it's just nice to have you know people back together. The game's happening live, and what a cool thing, man.
Yeah. Now, taking a look at these builds, Mong has gone for a factory expansion, whereas JYJ has gone for a gasless expansion. It's cross spawn, so JYJ definitely has an advantage here, but it's not necessarily like the end of the world. Mong, it's taken him a bit to scout. It looks like he went for like a 15 scout here after his barracks, so it's like a very high economy move. And when you do this, your plan 100% of the time is just to expand. With this build. So he is going to scout JYJ second, which will give him time to decide if he wants to go fast starport or not. Because that is a very reasonable play, but he took all SCVs off gas. This is like what Mong is doing is really optimized, just to throw this out there. He's got no extra gas bank. This is a very fast command center for a factory expansion. His factory is very fast as well. And he's going to come down and see what's what, which is important. He should run right by this Marine.
This SCV is going to come through here. he's going to see now just how behind he is as this command center is just about to finish. Like, literally right now it finishes. Yeah, this just doesn't look that good for Mong compared to what JYJ did. I don't know how exactly he's going to play catch-up here, but...
Yeah. It certainly is a better build for JYJ. Like, he does have the advantage, but it's playable still. Like, if this was Command Center first, he would be in much worse shape than he is now. Here, it's like, okay, your factory is quite a bit faster. He'll probably just go mines here. He'll go like 3 vultures with mines, lay those mines around a little bit, go into tanks. He'll have to get an armory because he doesn't really know what's going on. It takes a long time for your barracks to come across the map, so you don't know if they're going Wraith here. So you can't do something like blind counter vulture, right? Like, if you're in a closer spawn in this situation, sometimes you can float the racks in and see like, oh, you're going 3 fact, and my factories were done first, so I actually can have like 1 more vulture or something like that. But here, he'll probably just, again, lay some mines, get an armory. Yeah, there it is. Go for Siege Tanks and Goliaths and play a normal game. And yeah, it is a little bit better for JYJ, but it's still playable here for Mong.
And it seems like on this map, there's no obvious shared base. Like, this could very easily be split right down the middle or just slightly diagonally. Right? I mean, it's a big open map in the middle, so it's going to be hard to set up contains that are really going to, last that long. I mean, I'm not saying we can't have battle cruisers in this game, but it does seem like it's a little bit more difficult to pull off.
Yeah, the map is so wide open. Battle cruisers are generally not that good here. Like, there's so many places you can move, and there's a ton of dead airspace as well, so dropships are really strong. Haven't really seen any good battle cruiser games here. So I think it is just going to be a lot of jockeying for position in the middle, bringing huge armies around, and especially because the openings are completely different, right? Like, if you have Vulture versus Vulture at the beginning, you have a lot of potential for the game to end if someone makes a mistake like we saw in that previous game. But when it's like a gases expand against a factory expand, you kind of get more heavily into siege tanks and Goliaths and stuff. Maybe JYJ will mass up some Vulture, but it's going to be Mong in kind of more of a defensive spot anyway. So it's really unlikely that anyone is going to fall. We should be getting 3rd bases easily, and when you get 3rd bases easily, you kind of get 4th easily. And if you get the 4th, man, the game explodes at that point in Terran versus Terran. Like, once the 4th base is up and mining, you just expand it everywhere.
Yeah, things really kick in. JYJ taking his 2nd base a little bit more quickly. We're already seeing that pay off here as his extra factories are going to finish earlier, which should give him a little bit more map presence. Now, Mong is not that far behind, but he is just now getting his other factories to come into play here. But it would seem like as things develop here, JYJ will be the first that'll have the option to initiate in some way if he feels like doing that, and probably getting the 3rd base up just slightly ahead of Mong here, unless Mong goes high risk.
Yeah. You could as Mong, I guess, if you're making tanks nonstop. You probably can just kind of hold and take your 3rd quickly, but it feels dangerous. You always feel in this situation that you need like at least 4 factories. Because if you go like 3 and your opponent goes 5, generally they have a decent chance of breaking you. But right now, Mong he's patrolling the top a little bit. Don't forget he has a lot of mines out here. Ooh, good connection. Gonna be able to finish that off. But the mines are going to make him feel really really safe, rather. Oh, that's an interesting 3rd. I actually didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
I haven't
was not
seen anyone
expecting
take
that
that as their 3rd. Like, that's super rare. I like that.
Seems like JYJ is going to try to snake around the bottom here. I don't think Mong has enough tanks out here where he can ever cut this all off. So he could even like go around and hit this from the side. Okay, I was going to say, they do manage to just at the last second see some of this stuff. I was wondering, like, can he go perfectly around this? But he could basically flank these tanks.
Ooh,
take a look at this.
Hey, look at this. He's getting on top of the tanks. They are not sieged up. They are not behind mines right now. He sieges, but it's too late. You can just spread and attack this. JYJ crushing through. Dude, Mong is screwed now.
He might be dead. I can't believe he took a command center before JYJ. I mean, all that money, it could have gone into a little bit more defense or a little bit more of steady growth. These mines going to be oh my God. Well, one of them goes off and actually gets the connection. The other one was narrowly dodged. But I think we're going to see GG here, Tastosis. You can see Mong kind of saying wow in his chair, like, I can't believe this game just suddenly ended like that. GG. JYJ takes it, and we're going to have him versus Bisu. Could not be more happy with that. We're going to get that rematch.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun there. See if JYJ can come back. That matchup, though, I feel like the amount of risks they took against each other wasn't needed in this best of 3. I feel like if they had played as their opponent, if they were playing ladder matches, if they had done that instead, whoever did that would have won. You know? This was almost too teched out, too fancy. What are we doing here? Like, you're not needing to take these giant edges against each other. And you could see every time someone took, like, this weird risk, they got punished for it. So it's like, okay, well, what if you just played a solid game? You know, it's unfortunate, I think, for Mong, because he is a strong player, but it's not surprising to see him the first player eliminated either. This is why he was the first pickup in the round of 16 group selection.
And those mines just saw that at the last second. Mong scrambling to get back into a position where he could deal. You know, when you have that few number of tanks, there's no way you can get like a line that'll just catch everything. So the flanks get really, really scary here. And of course, he made a third command center really quickly. So you're like trying to have your cake and eat it, you know?
Yeah.
And here we see all of Mong's tanks fall. There's plenty of vultures here in the front. We're able to wipe out that next line of tanks back here. And that's all you need. At third base never even really, I don't know if it was ever scouted at all, but it didn't matter either way because that was going to die shortly after this natural or even the main base would fall.
Way too much damage coming out. Good play by JYJ. Like, he just kind of outmaneuvered him. He macroed heavily on the 4 facts. It was surprising to see Mong take that third that quickly and in such an open area. If you take the normal third, maybe you can hold. I don't know. But there you go. We're going to go to a quick commercial break and then our final match, Bisu versus JYJ.
끝장 토론 김민철 선수와 박성균 선수와 함께 시작해 보겠습니다. 이번 주제는 히드라 없는 저그 대 탱크 없는 테란. 과연 어떤 종족이 더 유리한가라는 주제로 토론을 시작해 볼 텐데 박성균 선수는 일단 저그가 그래도 더 유리할 것이다. 김민철 선수는 테란이 그래도 더 유리하다라는 쪽을 택하셨습니다. 더 제 마음을 울린 논거를 내놓으신 선수분께 승리를 드리도록 하겠습니다.
저는 뭐 탱크 없는 테란이라고 했죠. 그 옆에 있는 저그는 아예 쳐다도 안 봤어요. 왜냐면 탱크가 없든 있든 테란이 유리하니까. 원래 이제 저그전 같은 경우에는 탱크가 거의 쓰는 경우가 없어요. 탱크 쓰는 사람들은 보통 하수들. 탱크를 없어도 저그를 때려잡을 수 있기 때문에
바이오닉으로도 충분하다.
맞습니다. 그리고 히드라가 없다라는 얘기는 럴커가 없다는 얘기잖아요.
럴커는 있습니다. 히드라가 공격을 못할 뿐입니다.
그거 얘기해주지 마세요. 저는 김민철 성격상 설명을 대충 들었을 거라고 확신했습니다. 그러니까 히드라가 없다? 럴커가 없구나. 이 생각했을 거라
어차피
생각했는데
이제 히드라가 없어도 이제 탱크의 존재는 필요가 없습니다. 이게 탱크가 사기가 아니에요. 테라는 배슬이에요. 배슬. 주제를 바꿔서 만약에 배슬이었다. 그럼 저는 저그가 유리하다고 볼 수 있었어요.
아닙니다. 본인이 말했어요. 테란이라서 그냥 유리하다고 선택했다고. 제 상대 토론자분은 주제도 제대로 파악 못하고 굉장히 당황한 모습이 있었고 근데 히드라 자체를 주력으로 쓰는 거는 후반 가서 필요할 때만 쓰는 거고 원래는 히드라 없이 그냥 럴커 뮤탈로 초반 넘어가요. 테란은 옵션이 하나 사라진 거예요. 그러니까 탱크라는 옵션이 사라짐으로써 저그는 원래 하던 게임에서 탱크를 배제하고 그냥 편하게 할 수 있어요. 그러면 이 두 개만 놓고 봤을 때 당연히 저그한테 이제 메리트가 더 있다.
탱크를 배제했을 때는 다른 종족들이 너무 편해진다.
그렇죠. 이제 뭐 탱크 러쉬를 아예 그냥 생각 안 하고 게임해도 되니까.
반론하시겠습니까?
반론할 게 없죠.
저는
이렇게 네거티브로만 토론하실 거예요?
네. 네거티브로 할 거예요. 왜 네거티브냐면 이 자식 오늘도 지금 늦게 와가지고 촬영이 늦었어요 지금. 배가 고픈데.
경고 드리겠습니다.
저는요 탱크롯이 그냥 막아요. 그게 통하는 것 자체가 말이 안 돼요. 원래.
다른
원래 안
탱크롯이
통하거든요.
지는 저그들은 나보다 떨어지는 하등 종족들이고 나는 잘 막는데 그 당하는 저그들.
저는 우승자니까요. 그런 말해도 저는 충분합니다.
그러니까 다른 저그들이 문제다.
저는 우승했으니까.
우승자 버프 드리겠습니다. 네네네.
다른 저그들 확실히 하셨고.
우승했으니까 지금 당장은 이제 얘기를 할 수 있는 거죠. 탱크 러시는 웬만하면 막는 거예요. 그거 못 막는 상황은 거의 10판 중에 한두 판 정도거든요, 사실. 배틀을 만약에 이제 여러 대 뽑아가지고 하면 솔직히 저게 좀 많이 까다롭죠. 히드라가 없으면 대처가 안 되니까.
근데 원래 배틀은 히드라가 아니어도 원래 뭐 그냥 스포랑 플레이그와 이제 뮤탈 스쿼즈로 원래 대처를 할 수 있었고.
아니죠. 근데 이제 나중에 가면은 이게 배틀 숫자가 쌓이고 쌓이다 보면 그 뮤탈 스쿼즈로 감당이 안 돼요.
그 게임은 이미 저가 불리한 게임을 말하고 있는 거예요. 그러니까 이미 게임 기운 상황에서 말하고 있는 거예요.
후반 갔을 때 갑자기 얌생이처럼 모아서 오는 테란들이 있어요. 근데 그거는 스컬지로 상대하기 진짜 힘듭니다.
그냥 플레이 양념장 한번 뿌린 다음에 그냥 수험 스포로 그냥 계속 버티고 있다가 그냥 나오는 수포로 막아요.
수험 스포로 뭐 가만히 테란 가만히 있나? 거기 지나갔다가 그냥 때리면 되는데.
가만히 계실 거예요?
아니죠. 근데 이제 히 한번 맞으면 힘 쭉 빠져요. 그리고 배틀 모아서 온다는데 배틀이 나오는데 시간이 엄청 오래 걸립니다. 그 한 대 뽑은 배틀 2대 이상 나와요. 그러니까 뭐 모아서 온다? 그거에 뭐 게임이 진다? 게임이 이미 불리한 상황을 전제적으로
그거는 히드라로 충분히 원래 막는 건데 못 막는 상황이 나와요. 플레이그를 때려도 이제 막타를 쳐야 되는데 스컬지 달라붙다가 저는 다 죽죠? 근데 히드라를 때려야 되는데 히드라가 없죠? 뭐로 때려요?
뮤탈이 있죠.
뮤탈은
왜냐면
다 죽어있죠. 그
뮤탈이
상황이면.
안 죽을 수밖에 없는 게 탱크 러시를 배제하면 뮤탈 자체가 그냥 자유롭게 돌아다니다가 그냥 살려만 놓으면 돼요. 근데 이제 저그들이 그걸 안 살려놓고 욕심 부려서 계속 뭐 3멀티 치려고 하다 보니까 다 죽는 거예요.
그거 그냥 배슬로 다 죽이면 되잖아요. 그냥 본진에 가서 비슬 이레디 거세요 그러면.
오히려 럴커가 안 죽으니까 이득이죠. 그럼 뮤탈 더 뽑으세요. 뮤탈 다 죽으면.
그걸 어떻게 뽑아요?
럴커가 안 죽었으니까 뽑으세요. 럴커를 안 죽었으니까 뮤탈 뽑을 수 있죠.
쓸데가 없는데 어떻게 뽑냐고요.
이렇게까지 첨예한 대립각이 나올 줄 몰랐는데 짧게 한마디씩 최후 변론을 듣고 승자를 정하도록 하겠습니다.
주제 자체를 제대로 인지하지 못한 사람과 제가 이게 승패가 지금 나눠줘야 되나. 이 사람은 그냥 테란이 싫은 거예요. 지금 토론을 하러 온 게 아니라 테란을 욕하기 위해서 온 거기 때문에 이거는 제가 이긴 게 맞습니다.
탱크가 없을 때 게임의 편안함은 또 인정합니다. 근데 결국에는 테란은 거의 똑같고 그런 플레이 양상은 후반부로 이제 들어갔을 때 저가 상대하기가 되게 까다롭다. 히드라가 없으면.
이제 결정해 주시죠.
저의 선택은
저는요. 탱크롯이 그냥 막아요.
제 상대 토론자분은 주제도 제대로 파악 못하고
김민철 선수입니다.
그러니까 진행자가 스타를 잘 몰라서
스타를 잘 아시는 거지 이거.
근데 훨씬 논리적이셨어요. 왜냐면 지금 처음부터
논리적이요? 논리요?
이거 하나 드릴게요. 화 그만 내시고.
감사합니다.
나눠줄게.
인정하겠습니다. 네.
This is it, guys. Group A is going to be wrapping up. Bisu versus JYJ in a rematch. Honestly, it was my favorite game of the day. You know, Soulkey and Bisu was a really beautiful series, just in that Soulkey was so prepared. It was kind of like, wow, people are that good now. But, you know, if you're a StarCraft fan, you got to appreciate the Bisu JYJ match we had earlier. It was crazy. Both sides bringing a lot of kind of weird new ideas. JYJ doing some high-risk builds, barely surviving the cheese from Bisu. And then it was like one of these really high-tension macro games where neither side is like mass expanding, but instead mass producing off the few bases they have and trying to clobber each other.
Yeah, it was a wild game. It was probably the best overall kind of back and forth game here today. And I think that this is a great way to decide who moves forward. And this is where we're going to test if Bisu can maintain the level of Protoss First Terran that he's been playing for the last couple weeks, at least. We're going to open up on Neo-Dark Origin. Kind of an important map here. These first two maps are very good for Protoss in this matchup. So let's see if Bisu can do it.
Okay, we've got Bisu here in the top and JYJ in the bottom. Are we going to have the gas steal?
Yes.
Or are we going to have a proxy? I feel like Bisu almost always does one of the two.
I think he'll have the forward gateway at the natural with the gas steal. I think that is for Bisu good.
I think this is actually just going to be a proxy.
Yeah, I think you're right, too. The probe was too early for the forward. I should have just been more slow to answer. You'd be like, yes, it is going to be proxy. And just seen when he sent the probe, if you sent it then or he waited one more probe, and then it would have been at the natural.
I know,
There's all sorts of tricks to sound in smart casting, man, and I'm just not using them. I'm not optimizing my casting for the easy call-outs.
So funny. So this is Gateway on 9 and a gas steal. This is just a really good build. If you're a Protoss player, you should have this build.
Yes.
It's so good on maps where there's just 2 spawning locations. Terrans still lose to it to this day. They do still beat it. There are a lot of different approaches Terrans have to it. It's almost like its own crazy matchup with all the rules that, you know, the Protoss and the Terran both have to follow.
Yeah.
Terrans can try to counter all in from here. They can try to slow play it and take the gas. They can try to push with SCVs and Marines to take on the gateway and then expand. I mean, there's a bunch of cool stuff. But as you can see, the gas is stolen, and then it really just comes into these zealots. Comes down to these zealots sliding inside here, trying to kill Marines, trying to buy time without overextending.
Exactly. And Bisu has shown that he's very good at that right now. Like I mentioned, a lot of his wins lately have been based off of Zealot pressure against Terran. He's been making great decisions with them. Look at that. That was a mistake by JOJ. He started a scout, then he realized he brought his really damaged SCV. So he actually turned that around. You don't want to send a 35 health SCV across the map. 2 Zealot shots kill it. Oh, my God. I can't believe he lost that probe.
That was pretty abrupt. Is that a second barracks underneath JYJ's picture?
Certainly is.
Okay, so it's the double racks play. That's kind of crazy. I
like it against the gate here because you don't have to go all in with this. Like, you can do something like make 4 Marines out of that second barracks, plow through the Zealots, kill the gateway, force your opponent to react heavily, and expand. Like, you don't... Just because you have 2 barracks doesn't mean that you have to, like, overcommit to Marines and do an all-in. You know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing. Like, so most of the games I've seen of Bisu, what he usually does when he does the gas steal like this is he'll, like, try to expand behind it.
Yeah.
This is a super aggro one where he went for his own gas. He's going to tech. We did cast a game. It's so funny because a lot of the older games, you know, they're all kind of jumbled in my brain. But this one I remember so specifically because I copied his build. It was versus piano or organ. And it's like he goes from this position into ranged dragoons into DTs. Is he going to do it this time? I don't know. But let's see if it's going to be that variation.
Yeah, that can be a very good follow-up. Like, if you think your opponent thinks you're not going DTs, man, you could just win instantly off of that. But right now, he kills the gas. He's got a good amount of Marines, and I feel like he should just bring 3 SCVs, rally the barracks, and kill this all. Yeah, and that's exactly what he's going to do.
Well, 4 Zealots can actually take on a pretty insane number of Marines.
Yeah.
The fact that he got this wraparound is crazy.
Yeah, the SCV blocking there was not perfect. Generally, 3 SCVs do a good enough job blocking that you actually win that. But Bisu did a great job. He instantly moved up and was able to clear that.
Oh my God, he got every single one. I thought at least 1 or 2 were going to get out. Now, a Dragoon's going to come out here. Keep in mind, a lot of these Marines are pretty low on HP, but truth is, you probably can kill the pylon here.
Yeah, he'll kill the gate. He'll kill the pylon, but Bisu has a secondary gate at home. He's getting range already. I think he's like fine here. I don't think he's going to die or anything. The question is, does JYJ push the issue? Like, does he? Nope. See, now this is what Bisu doesn't know. He doesn't know. This could be Marine Medic. This could be mass Marines in an SCV pull. This could be a command center. Well, now he does know. Okay. Well, I feel
not a lot of secrets here, Tastosis.
Yeah. When you see that, it's like your opponent doesn't have infinite money. So now Bisu could make his You know, Bisu could go instantly from here into a Nexus, I think, and that would probably be his best play.
Now, the Dragoon with range is so much better versus these Marines that it's kind of crazy. Like, you can kite forever. 2 come up here, it gets even worse. The bunker's probably going to finish, but this is still a pretty difficult position right now for JYJ. He's got to be very careful. Obviously, it's a relief that this, Gateway's unpowered. It really, takes the wind out of the sails of Bisu's build here. But it's still tricky. And you were right, Artosis. Just taking another command center right away is the play.
Yeah. But JYJ gets his expansion up quicker. I think he did a really good job of showcasing that you can make that second barracks only for defensive purposes and cut your Marine count. Because doesn't this seem like he basically countered what Bisu is doing perfectly? Like, he killed the Zealots, he killed the gate. He couldn't attack, but that's okay, because he already had a factory going, his command center's faster. Bisu had to account for some of these things. I think that this was excellently executed by JYJ.
So, Bisu is a little bit behind right now, but it's not the end of the world. I assume he's going to go for Robotech here.
Yeah.
But I have seen games where people still just go for DT. It's really weird, Sometimes people just neglect it entirely. He's going to try to come out. That's a trick where you unload it so that you can draw some of the Dragoon fire away just to get them some pressure off of the bunker. But, of course, a good Protoss player is always just going to have that bunker targeted.
He was one volley from losing that bunker. If you lose that bunker there, the game's over. Bisu will actually out-micro you and kill everything you have. So that was really close. JYJ just barely missed like a repair there or something. Or that 4th SCV maybe is all it was. But... yeah, I love the third Nexus, by the way, from Bisu, even though he doesn't have a lot, because you can't, there's no real scout going on. He is sending a barrack, so he'll figure out some of what's going on with that. But you have to make a missile turret here, and you have to get siege. And the perfect counter to that is a Nexus.
Right. That triple expand is underway. The armory is just now going to finish up, so JYJ can't move out on the map just yet. No second factory just yet, but I think he might be starting that right now. I would really love it if the observer would show us the inside of the main base. Here we go. So 3 gates. I just want to know what exactly is he up to.
If JYJ can't know, you can't know either, Tasteless.
I know. You got to cast it from the Terrence perspective, Tasteless.
Well, it's all good with me, man. That's all I want to know is what JYJ's doing here. But, yeah, 4 gates coming up rather quickly, isn't it?
Yeah, well, this is like a very not flashy build here from Bisu, which is totally fine. There's no, kind of exciting, spicy tech. There's no rush to carriers. There's not a Reaver that's being made back here to harass. It's like an old-school PvT triple base into Gateway Observer. Can have some tech later on, but for now it's going to be more about just kind of playing it safe and covering your bases. Not even taking any risks, really.
Well, in taking no risks, sometimes that in and of itself can be a risk. I do wonder if JYJ is going to try to pull off a 5 factory here, because this looks like the right type of situation. There are no Reavers to slow him. He's going to have +1, and we don't know what the follow-up tech will be, but I'm looking at this and it feels like there might be a window for this. I do feel like we could see JYJ move out with 5 factory and attack.
I'm sorry, was that 2 Citadels? It must not have been.
I thought it was
a Citadel making.
I think it was a Citadel and a support bay. I think he's going speed shuttle basically.
Okay,
but
okay.
I'm not 100% on it. They
saw
clicked it really quick.
Oh, it was a forge, actually.
Okay.
Right. Aren't you guys glad we're casting this, man? We are just killing this cast.
Now, what it might be is he might just go Arbiter. Arbiter, I've been kind of saying this for a couple weeks now. We should see Arbiter revived. Arbiter is the best counter to 5-fact. And 5-fact is so popular right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if he actually just goes Arbiter and goes up to 8 gates and just macros.
And you feel like it's better versus that than Speed Shuttle with Reaver?
Without any doubt. Without any doubt. Arbiter is the counter to 5-fact. Yeah, and it is going to be Arbiter. So basically the thing about Arbiter is when you're doing 5-fact, your detection is going to consist of a few scans. So, and also, like, the proper counter to Arbiter, because Arbiter is not, anyone going Arbiter is not dangerous until the Arbiter is out. So, like, if you know someone's going Arbiter, the best play is to make a command center immediately. Now, the 5 fact builds can't tell that, and they're going for an attack. So, by the time you get across the map, and you figure out, like, oh, okay, this is Arbiter, all they have to do is prevent a turret being made in front of their rally point. That's basically it. And then the overwhelmingness of having a ton of cloak is good. And then if you just set up a contain, recall is good. It's just, this is, like, I expect to see a huge influx of Arbiter play into the metagame. And that should make the 5 facts back off some. So I think this is perfect from Bisu.
Well, this is really cool to see. That's fascinating to hear your take on the Arbiter play. But, you know, it makes sense. Like, a lot of times when the games seem to get a little bit hairy, like, I'll do, like, 6-gate Arbiter on 2 base. Like, if I'm really stuck, and it's like, yeah, you can just take a fight. Like, you have a better squad.
Yeah.
If you're both going to clash in the middle of the map, especially when that stasis finishes.
Mm-hmm. It's big. And, like, you know, just running, like, a 1 cloak to Zealot in and forcing a scan from that, you run out of those scans really quickly. You have to base your defense around missile turrets. And so you can just kind of know where those missile turrets can go as Protoss and prevent the close ones. Now, the Vulture's coming in for a bit of harassment. Do notice that once JYJ figured out what was going on, he did go for a 3rd command center. And, you know, that's... Like, I feel like JYJ is playing this just right as well. Once you realize that it's Arbiter, you got to go towards a longer game. You got to get that 3rd command up. But he should macro really heavily here. Like, I want to see him go up to at least 7 factories, because if Bisu wastes anything, this is the thing about Arbiter. If you waste an attack and your opponent has been macroing heavily on 3 base, the counterattack can kill you. Absolutely.
Now, you know, the problem with Arbiter is that as the game goes on longer and longer, you know, really it just comes down to the Terran pulling off an EMP on that Arbiter, and suddenly stasis is gone and you can't recall. So in some ways, to me, it still feels like a weak late-game tech. Obviously, it's a crazy strong unit, the fact that it cloaks your whole army and everything, but it does feel like at the highest level of plays, you know, when you see Arbiter fails, you kind of go, oh, that's why everybody's been going for Speed Shuttle Reaver, TIE Templar, or Carrier, right?
Yeah. In the more modern Arbiter builds, well, hold on. We actually have an attack coming in. Bisu, I don't know about this. He's trying to drop off on these siege tanks. Oh, he is dragging some good splash in there. Oh, my God. The Zealot's just getting on top of those tanks. Dude, I tell you what, he's killing way more tanks than I thought he would. This did not look... This looked like something Best would do. Bisu,
yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Bisu kind of pulls it off. He forces the lift on the 3rd. If he had, like, gotten the 3rd command center way ahead, looking at this position, this is the type of thing where I was saying if JYJ macros heavily, he can punish Bisu if Bisu does something like this. This is one of the big problems with Arbiter builds. If you spend that army, your opponent can sometimes look at that and say, oh, you're going to have, like, 0 spells. You're, like, Gateway Man with some cloak. Let's go. And he is moving across. He's getting this set up. JYJ may be able to kill him with this push.
Yeah, this looks pretty scary. He's not across the bridge just yet, though. He also doesn't have a whole lot to hit from the other side. I love this. Just one Zealot comes in there. This is a really safe way to kind of come in, get damage, get value, kill a tank without overextending. You take another Zealot later on once that scan diminishes and just send it back in again. And sometimes you'll have them burn through all of their scans.
Yeah.
It'll look like it's close. It'll seem like there's no way you can beat him, and then you go, wait a minute, you don't have any more scans. I'm going to run in here and kill all your stuff.
And look at that. He actually scans to kill an observer. Dude, if I'm Bisu, I'm running another Zealot in a second. And also, just to put this out there, to cover a missile turret from cloaked units, you need 2 scans. You need 2 scan durations to get a missile turret up. So, you know, it's a really good, valuable strategy. Now, JYJ is actually backing off. I think he realizes he can't maintain that hold. Bisu has taken a 4th. Bisu is still trying to deny this 3rd base from re-landing for JYJ. This is a pretty awesome and wild game right now.
Yeah, this army gets sandwiched, but this allows Bisu to basically break out and get control of the middle of the map. He can finally move around You know what I wouldn't mind seeing is a recall all the way through the bottom, like left side bottom, all the way there on top of the factories. Seems like if you're going to protect your third base, it's really hard to keep your main safe too.
That would be huge. That would be huge. That is a hard area to defend. This is like a wonkily shaped map for defending against that type of thing. So I would like to see that from Bisu as well. But right now, Bisu, he has some things to contend with here. JYJ has retaken that third. Bisu does control the center, but that is a pretty big vulture drop. There's no cannons here or anything. There are a few units, so he will lose the vultures, but I like the idea.
So it's another game where Bisu's not really expanding that much. He's really just powering. Supplies are fairly similar. Did you see a vessel? Because I don't actually know.
No, I haven't seen a vessel yet.
Okay, all right. I wasn't sure if I had missed it somewhere here, but like, look, man, you need to have that vessel ready to go. Can't just be scanning here. Without any vessels, I mean, dude, you could just chain together like several stasises and win a fight. Maybe that's what we have here. Shuttle over here, I assume that there's just Zealots in there, but sometimes we do see Templars with Storm for the Arbiter Tech is done.
Modern Arbiter Tech, we're seeing a lot of people add in Storm. I think it's just because of what you were talking about before. If it's just Arbiter and Gateway units, it's actually really hard to win late game once they defend it. Oh my god, he's actually going for a recall. Oh, of course.
Oh my god, are you serious? And he recalls his second Arbiter. He's going to get another recall over here, or he could get a Stasis on the ramp.
Yeah, let's see what he does with that. A Stasis on the ramp could be pretty darn strong. Yeah, it looks like that's what he's looking for. Oh, and he kind of gets it. There is a path there. Oh, Siege Tanks can't fit, though.
No, it's blocked.
Oh, damn. I think Vultures still fit, but yeah, it looks like Siege Tanks definitely do not. That is highly annoying, and JYJ is going for the counterattack.
I don't like this counterattack at all.
No?
I think that's the Protoss dream. Is it like, oh, you're just going to attack me? Like, now, like, there's... No, well, look, I don't know about Bisu hitting here, but, you know...
Can he win, though, like, without the counterattack? Because he's losing a lot in his main, isn't he? He lost his armory, he's losing deep... maybe not as much as I thought, but this counterattack on the third good as well.
Yeah. Did you say counterattack on the third good as well?
Yeah. Well, is was implied.
Counterattack good. Yeah. Losing base bad. Look, fire bad.
If Bisu can unga bunga, I can unga bunga cast. Okay.
Yes.
And look at the flank.
This
man.
game's over.
Woo.
Yeah. I mean, this is the counterattack is never the play.
Dude, tell me Bisu doesn't look on. Like, really, Bisu's in great shape.
He looks really good. It's funny because, like, yeah, this is kind of an older approach, too. This is really like a 2007, like, PVT-looking game, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, I mean, JYJ just wasn't able to hang, to be totally honest. By the way, Bisu, he really does have these best-esque, like, busts.
Yeah.
Where he like has a supply that's almost similar to what the Terran has, and he just flies in. And so much of his army is like lagging behind and attacking other stuff. Like some of his Dragoons are hitting command centers while Zealots are running into tanks. And it still looks good. And it still almost wins the game.
Yeah, yeah. It's Protoss are like it's just the Protoss way, man. Your shit is attacking everywhere, but you do have a lot of it, and it has a lot of health. So okay, let's go. But Bisu has done a great job. I love that he still has a Dragoon killing buildings in the main base. JYJ frantically trying to make something happen, but Bisu's on 5 bases. He all but has this game secured at this point. Like, I don't see any possibility of him ever losing this. He's going to attack, move in. I think JYJ GG's here.
Yeah, I don't even see a good spot to really stasis. He's going to end up stasising the... oh, there it is. GG. Stasis is the D-Matrix tank. Love to see it. Okay, Bisu is 1-0.
Yeah,
I gotta he absolutely could take this.
Yeah, I gotta point out again. I think that he is playing so well recently, and the fact that he's on top of this meta switch into Arbiter makes me really, really happy to see. Because like this really is the way to play against 5-fact. And if you're forcing Terrans out of the 5-fact play, that's been so successful lately against these heavy Reaver users. You know, you snipe that shuttle, and then suddenly you can move across the map before speed is done on Zealots, and you're in great shape. But by taking that away from JYJ, a lot of JYJ's prep may have been towards that build. So how are you going to play from here as JYJ?
Good question. JYJ, whatever he needs to do, he better figure it out right away. So we're going to go to retro here for map number 2. And Bisu just needs one more win. JYJ not looking terrible. I think especially in the first couple minutes of the PVTs, he's at his best. But once the macro starts to flow, Bisu has just been smashing the best Terrans in the world for too long. Very, very tough to beat the guy.
Yeah, looking fantastic. We're going to go into retro. This is a good map for Bisu here. And it's a great map for Arbiter Tech. And I don't know if JYJ is going to have the appropriate plan. I think the best chance for Bisu getting out of this group is a win right here in a 2-0 victory over JYJ.
All right, guys. Well, retro is where it's going down. A very tricky map to play on PVT here. For both sides, Tastosis and I have shared our frustrations with this map and trying to get to third bases or... anyways, we're going to get into this game right now, guys. This is game 2. Again, if Bisu wins, he moves on into that round of 8. If JYJ wins, we're going to go to the final game of the evening. Right, so it's Bisu in the bottom left, JYJ in the bottom right.
Okay. You know, that could be a little bit tricky for JYJ, you know, getting in and holding that third base. But we'll see about that, you know, especially if Bisu opens Reavers, that could be tough. This is one, like, Arbiter is fantastic on this map, and it's good in the metagame right now, so wouldn't mind seeing that from Bisu again. The big problem with TVP on this map is in a game, like, you can't play a passive game here as Terran. This is what I've decided, Tasteless. You cannot play a passive game on retro. Like, you have to be really, really active, because if you try to play that passive 4-base macro style, the 4th and the rest of your bases are too far apart. And if Protoss brings their entire army to bear on one location, you just can't hold it. You just can't hold it. So if you allow Protoss to kind of have that map control to go to 5-6 bases while you're trying to take 4, they're going to kill one of them. You're going to be on 3 base, and you're going to be in trouble. So I would like to see a very active approach from JYJ this game. Something like maybe a dropship opener. You know, 5 factory is okay, but that's where Arbiter comes in again, right? That's where I'm like, yeah, Arbiter is going to be a super strong build for retro, and I hope that we see Bisu with some sort of opener that gets there.
Yeah. This is a map that, you know, we thought was very wide and open and big, but it feels like it's actually a lot more restrictive. I think carriers actually can be good. It might sound like that wouldn't make any sense because the middle of the map is flat, but it does seem like you can really defend your 3rd and 4th bases with carriers a lot more easily because of these narrow chokes that are hard to get up to and a lot of areas where you can escape over from there. But, you know, it's very possible Bisu just takes a pretty straightforward approach like he's already done, you know, where he's just going to try to stay 1 base ahead of the Terran and try to smash him in certain positions. I think it's harder to do on this map, but let's see.
Yeah, right now JYJ is going to be able to scout Bisu first, which is kind of nice. Bisu looks like, is this he's scouting the center, or is he going just cross-spawn scout? I've seen so many cross-spawn scouts from Protoss players lately.
Yeah, they become really popular. What's funny is it's a cross-spawn scout, but it's actually a gate gas core build. You know, you see a lot of cross-spawn scouts when it's Nexus first, just because you're trying to figure out, like, how greedy can I be, you know?
Yeah. No, that's where it's super strong, where you decide, oh, do I need a second gateway, basically. You know, if they're cross-spawn, you don't. If they're near spawn, you do. And here, Bisu, you know, this is the fear of scouting cross-spawn, is you check 1 base, and then you check the second. It's like, oh, and now I have to go cross again. This is about as late as you can get a scout, you know, in Protoss vs. Terran. So a little bit rough there.
This is why I don't do it.
Yeah.
This is why I backed away from it, is it's like, it's such a harder game right now. Like, you don't know if he went command center early.
Yeah.
By the way, JYJ did go command center first in an earlier game with these 2 guys. Like, I'm still doing gateway scout, which is like pretty early, but honestly, it allows me to really assess the game in a way that, like, I think I could lay out my options and, you know, let's say I want to do that proxy robo in Reaver and Cheese because they do it in quick command center. Well, then I can do it now. You know, some pros are only scouting after the Dragoon, but the cross spot, that's always a funny one when it comes to scouting.
Well, if you miss like he did there, that's pretty late. It could have been anything. You know, a gasless expand would be the most common thing that you'd be sad about, but obviously, you know, JYJ showing he's willing to go command center first, the mad lad. Here, he's really trying not to build a bunker.
Wow.
Like, he's so dead set on not making a bunker right now. It's pretty wild, actually. If Bisu
is
had
like really
just
hard to pull off.
Yeah, if Bisu had just sent his second goon, like, this could have gone really bad for him. But now there's a tank out. Everything's safe for JYJ. And he's not... Oh, interesting. He's not actually getting mines right now. And there's a Citadel for Bisu.
Yeah, I was waiting to jump on that Citadel, man. This is kind of crazy. So he'll probably get a second gate and then the Templar Archives. And he's actually going to go for DT top. I was going to say, I've seen games where people just get like 2 DTs and just send them across the map. And they beat pros all the time because a lot of pros are cutting corners.
Yeah.
With this, but this looks like it's a DT drop.
It is. It is. And like a DT drop is super scary. This is a weird build from JYJ. Like, he's just going, like, I believe 3 tanks and some Marines off of 1 factory, and it looks like he wants to attack with that. No upgrades. I think he'll go Armory Engineering Bay. So I think this build will actually work out for JYJ, even though, like, it looks like it shouldn't in a way. Oh, he's adding a second factory now. Wait, he doesn't have an Armory or an... The Engineering Bay will start now, though. Like, you always start the Engineering Bay by 5 minutes and 30 seconds unless you've scouted the whole main.
Well, with the drop, I mean, I guess he wants to just fly around up into the main and try to go in there. I feel like it's not going to work if he tries to go into the natural. There's always a turret there.
Yeah. You want to kind of drop them almost as a surprise, and a lot of times the wins with DT drops are because you just get a turret that he wasn't standing near. Right? Like, you snipe down, you're like, ha-ha, I got it. And now you're, like, either making the factories lift or maybe you're in the mineral line, you know, wherever that may have been that you came in. But, yeah, targeting down that first turret is
wild,
super good.
Man. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, if you just get in there and, like, dude, 4 hits from a DT kill a turret. So 2 DTs are going to 2-shot a turret.
That doesn't sound very fair, Tasteless. Well, actually, shouldn't it be 5 hits because they do 40 and it's 200 health?
Oh, yeah, actually, maybe you're right. Maybe, like, it burns down quickly. Maybe I'm wrong, actually. Why do I think...
Well, it'll start burning after 3 hits.
A tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's 4 hits to kill a tank, excuse me. So maybe it's 5 or 6 to kill a turret.
Well, 5 plus a little bit of burn for a second. But, all right, so he actually has a DT harassing in there, and, yeah, that is the Armory. So, like, even denying that would be huge. Dude, this DT is doing a good job. Oh, no, he can hit that turret. He can hit that turret. Right?
Yeah, I'm surprised he's not.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't go after that. Oh, he's going after a factory now. Dude, just rotating the DT around and making him build the extra turrets and things are catching on fire. And, like, this feels very, very bad as JYJ. Okay, he's going to maybe bring SCVs up and try to kill it with Splash. But it's a high health... no, I guess he's not going to do that. But, yeah, like the DT drop, I would call this successful, wouldn't you? You don't need to kill someone with it.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. I mean, it is kind of a funny situation because this tower, this shuttle and DT are like almost stuck in here. I guess he can just barely get out this way. Nicely done, Bisu. I didn't even realize you could fit through there like that. Because what I was leading up to was that this is trapped here.
Yeah.
And so the shuttle and the DT are going to be killed. But the fact that he gets it out is pretty good. He's now gone up to a bunch more gateways. He might even get Arbiter Tech in a second here. He's going for that kind of powering play.
Dude, I want Bisu to win this season. I'm watching the way he's playing. This is unreal. Like, he's choosing his builds so well. Yeah, Soulkey kind of outsmarted him with some builds Bisu's probably not seen. But this is amazing. Like, I was talking a lot about Arbiter. He went Arbiter game 1. And look at this. He went DT drop, got some reasonable damage, and he's going into 2 base Arbiter and a 3rd base here. This all feels like it is perfect decision making from Bisu. I love this. Look at how quick that Arbiter is. There is no attack that JYJ can do. JYJ has to take a third, and then there's the threat of recall, and Bisu can take more bases. Like, I love this position for Bisu.
Yeah. I guess for the third base, 6 o'clock is the go, right? Because that way you're denying the third base from Bisu being down there. Bisu still hasn't started that Nexus, by the way. Here comes that push now. Nope, he's going to stop. He's going to come back here and siege up and basically make a foothold out of this position.
Oh, man.
DT.
Come on, Cape Boy. Get up there. Yeah, the observer checking. He should... I'm surprised he doesn't just send it up. Yeah, there you go. All right, he sees that there's no missile turret. Send that up. Force some scans. Slow this down. That's really just all you need to do, you know? Slow him down. Look at that. Forces a scan.
Look at that. He's going to get away.
Dude, so good. Oh, that's the one from the main. It's got 8 kills, Tasteless.
It's crazy. Now, he's got to be careful when he pushes out here, though. This is where you're getting pretty far on the map. A scan is going to see that, and that will kill off that DT. The Arbiter's not out yet.
Yeah, as long as he has Zealot legs on the way, I love the position. You know, his Arbiter is actually going to be out really soon as well. You can build turrets, like, up to just below that siege tank that's on the top, so he can get, like, a reasonably close turret. But all you have to do is prevent a turret from going after this little bridge, right? If you prevent a turret being in front of the natural, you're in good shape. And look at this. Zealot legs are done. Bisu's going to go. He's not going to wait for anything else. Oh, man, he's going to kill these tanks. Bisu's crushing.
I don't know what JYJ was thinking with this push. Everything is so spread apart. This is probably actually game, Artosis.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there were too many tanks back at home. There were not enough tanks far across the map. I mean, if you separate your army, that's the Protoss's dream.
Yeah.
You know, Arbiters are scary too, but I don't think we need him here. He can probably force his way up the ramp.
He's basically got this. The fact that he killed that many siege tanks, and, you know, that's it. He just GG's. He knows that the game's over.
GG.
And Bisu 2-0's JYJ. Dude, his Protoss versus Terran is on point. He was playing well against Soulkey, even though that didn't work out. Bisu is in immaculate shape. I don't get this excited about Protoss players very often, but I feel like this could be a season Bisu could win.
Yeah, normally you're only happy to cast with the Artosis, not to play against him.
Well, not really even happy about that, but I put on a brave face.
Bisu did it, guys. He actually came out on top. Just immaculate PvT. We're going to go to an interview in a second here and see how he's feeling. Look, he's been with the ASL the whole way through, always looking strong, but never actually winning. And, you know, for those of you that just started watching StarCraft 1 during ASL, this was like the greatest Protoss player of all time. For a very important era of StarCraft. We've always been wondering, like, is he going to come back? You know, Flash was GOAT of Terran, and he did manage to come back and dominate, but we're kind of crossing our fingers that maybe he could do the same thing here with, you know, ASL. And honestly, that would be really good for the game. The viewership when Bisu plays is extremely good.
Oh, yeah.
He just has a lot of diehard fans.
Well, as he should. You know, he like kind of almost saved StarCraft on his own. You know, there was once upon a time Protoss vs. Zerg was nearly unwinnable, and he really changed that dynamic heavily. You know, still a tough matchup, but you know, Bisu has shown us over the years what you could do. And here, now, I've always felt like this has been his weak matchup, honestly. Like, but the way he's playing it now, it's so smart. He's doing all the right things strategically, hitting the right timings, and just crushing these guys.
A very poor game from JYJ. Like, you just look at this, and it's like, oh, this doesn't look very doable. And then it's going to cut in a second to, like, just a lot of vultures and tanks coming across the map to meet up with this. Yeah, there they are onto the high ground now, and it just, I don't know. JYJ unable to deliver anything here in this game.
No. Losing all those tanks, nail in the coffin. The problem is he had no scouting intel. He had to save his scans for DTs. He had no idea the gateway count, the base count. He was playing completely blind and just hoping this build would work, and it didn't.
On to that interview now. Bisu, let's see how he's doing. moving on to the round of 8.
We have just wrapped up the games here in Group A of the round of 16 of ASL 17. Let's meet our second place finisher, Bisu. Good work. Congratulations. Thank you. With the conclusion of the elimination match, you are now headed into the longer series that you were so hoping for. Once again joining the round of 8 after a while. How are you feeling? It's good I advanced, but I did not have as good of a showing in the games themselves. I'm disappointed with that. There are things I need to fix before the round of 8. You are headed into the quarterfinals having defeated JYJ thrice today in the round of 16. Now, none of the games were easy for you. I think we need to talk about that first game against JYJ. You opened gate first. It seemed you thought you had to end things quickly with a robo, so much so that you built a shield battery too, but that didn't happen. You did take down a lot of SCVs, but the game did not end. It must have been a bit disheartening. How do you feel? Or how did you feel? I should have built the robo a little further back, just like I did in the game against C in the round of 24. But I built it very close, and with the Terran coming out like that, things got a little out of hand. At first, I did get a lot of SCVs and Marines in return. So even though the proxy got destroyed, I thought, let's keep trying, and it worked out. Whenever you face difficulties in the games today, you overcame those with a keen sense of how to take battles well. Even after your gateway rush failed, you still kept taking skirmishes here and there. You succeeded in breaking the Terran's third. The decision to utilize your high tempo as you walked down the ramp on the battlefield seemed to be the right call. Or at that point in time, you gotta start making moves before the Terran upgrades kick in. So breaking the third while also trading out against the army and taking down a ton of workers, I got quite far ahead with that move, I thought. Similarly, in the first game of the elimination match, you opted for a gateway first rush. Afterwards, instead of going for head-on fights, you were forcing skirmishes back and forth. What aspect of Neo Dark Origin is good for Protoss in TVP? JYJ is an aggressive player. I thought my control wouldn't be up to par if I went Reaver. So instead I chose to go Arbiter. I was planning to fight head-on, but that did not work well, so I had to go around. I first pulled the trigger when I got max, but that got blocked and things got weird. So then I opted for a recall at 150, and that one exceeded expectations. I guess that's where things turned in my favor. Riding that momentum, you went for a quick Citadel in Game 2 and caught the Terran with some Dark Templar drops. It seemed to be the right call for you to wait for Zealots and then attack quickly. That was the right judgment call. Was that the timing you wanted to find? I didn't do that much damage with the Dark Templar, so normally that's not a good position for me if the Terran expands and macros up. But with JYJ moving out like that, I also invested in units and thought, well, I'm taking down his army here. And despite your experience, we were on the edge of our seats throughout the game. Still, the seasoned veteran deals with the crisis presented to him and advances through to the round of 8. Great to see for the fans. You said you wanted to have a good showing in the longer series. Back when we talked in the pre-game interview, what do you want to show in an extended series? Minnie said this on his stream. Bisu is so predictable. I became self-conscious hearing that, but still didn't prepare builds for the round of 24. I guess I'll have to put some more thought in now. I'll have to prepare well. You will surely come prepared so that your opponents can't read you. You must have also had many people help you practice ahead of the round of 16. Would you like to take this opportunity to thank them? Light, Royal, Rush, and True. We played a lot of games. Thanks for practicing with me. I'd like to thank Mato for cheering for me today. What I would like to say to my fans is people come to cheer. Back in the pro gaming days, people would come to cheer because I could show good games. which is not really the case now, for which I apologize.
대성스럽게 생각하고 잘 준비해서
I will prepare well and do my utmost to have a good showing in the round of 8.
네, 현장에 정말 김태균 선수를 응원하기
Some reassuring words there for the fans who always show up to heartily cheer for Bisu. Once again, congratulations on advancing to the quarterfinals. Thank you.
자, 이렇게 A조에서 두 번째로 8강에
And that does it for our interview with the second place finisher of Group A, Bisu.
There you have it, guys. This was a fun round of 16 here for Group A. We ended up actually getting Bisu out. I think Soulkey is terrifyingly good right now.
Yes.
That's really my big takeaway. I mean, like, I feel like a lot of the focus of today was on Bisu because of his ups and downs, but man, Soulkey just looks untouchable.
When you're bringing strats like that take one of the best ever to do it and make him look like a fool, that's something else. But how many times can you do that in a given tournament? Well, I mean, if you're Shine, you can do it a lot of times, but can Soulkey do it a lot of times to mix with his great build order choices and his great macro? I don't know. Maybe he just wins again. It's a real possibility. Group B, we're going to be going into next. It's Mini, Barracks, Royal, and Hero. An excellent group once again.
This is going to be a fun one, and it's going to be out right away. So if you're watching the VOD of this one now, and it just came out, it's just around the corner. We're really focused on speed and cranking these VODs out as much as possible.
That's right. So yeah, this has been great. I love all the groups that we have. I'm looking forward to seeing how these guys are all going to go ahead and approach it. You know, looking at that group, I actually feel like it's going to be Mini and Hero, just like this group, right? The Zerg and the Protoss are going to get out. I think those guys are just a step above, even above Royal. You know, I know Hero doesn't have a championship and Royal does, but like, dude, I will never bet against Hero until at least the round of 4. I just won't do it. You can't make me do it.
You're probably right about that. I tend to lean a little bit towards Royal. I really like his play, but yeah, man, maybe all these Terrans are just a bunch of stormtroopers, man. They're taken out by
everyone
these Raider,
but Light is a stormtrooper.
Protosses.
Yeah. I think that's very close to the case. Like, yeah, we have a lot of players that are Terran in the season, but in the group selection, it was the first 5 picks were 4 Terrans and Shuttle. So it's just like, yeah, a lot of them are placekeepers right now that are gonna get knocked out, I think.
Well, guys, that's all the time we have. Thank you so much for joining us. We love you. Check out the Patreon if you would, and have an amazing rest of your day. Bye-bye.